a Monday, the Bill Michaels Show. Glad to have you. How are we looking? The weekend was filled with a lot of different stuff. Saw the Brewers' bats come alive, and so far a terrific start to the unofficial second half of the season, which was fantastic. You saw a police officer highlighted with A.J. Dillion, not in a very positive light at Lambeau Field. 78,000 at Lambeau, by the way, for the match on the pitch, if it were, as you had a friendly go after it, and which was, hey, a good revenue generator for the Green Bay Packers. Then the bad news, and we've been alluding to this all along. And people get so bent out of shape, so angry. Maybe it's because it's the bucket of cold water on some of the hopes, but we kept saying there's something that's not right with what's not being said about David Bakhtiari. And every time we did it, it was always met with blowback. And damn it, every time. Sometimes I've been doing this since 1999. Mike Clemens has been doing it a lot longer than I have. And we both said it's what's not being said that is worrisome. We kept saying that nobody is saying, no, he's going to be good. No worries. None of that. It was always, well, it's a tough injury. Well, he's working hard. Well, and we both said it, here's the cautionary salvo over the bow, if you will. And then sure enough, David Bakhtiari is going to start on the PUP list. Now, what that specifically means, we'll have to wait and see, but it's not good. A guy after being out of football for the most part, a year and a half now, he's been working hard. Okay. He got into a game, had some snaps. Okay. Wasn't able to go in the postseason after that. Okay. That's what we know. There was a lot of talk about the knee being drained and going back in and clearing things out. And then, you hear all of this and you think, okay, so he should be ready to go. No problem. And you sit there and say, wait a minute. And sure enough, David Bakhtiari, PUP list. Now we'll have to wait and see how long he has to be held out, but it's not good. I still have people that are telling me, well, this is a good thing. How? How is it a good thing? Yeah, it's going to give him extra time to rest up and get ready and give, but it's been a year and a half. It's been a year and a half. 4 weeks, 3 weeks, 2 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks. Is that going to be a difference maker? It is disconcerting, to say the very least. This goes back to May 2nd. Brian Gutekunst talking about the progress of one David Bakhtiari.
I have a lot of faith in David and him getting back to where he needs to be. I know he's working his tail off and feel good about it. At the same time, I think it's the National Football League and injuries are tough. And I think we have to be prepared either way. But I'm pretty confident that Dave's going to get back to the level that he was at prior to the injury.
Have to be prepared either way. I'm confident he's going to be back. In other words, we're not telling you he's ready to go. We're hoping. Hope is a tremendous thing to have until it's gone. And you hope that Bakhtiari is able to come back. You hope that Bakhtiari is able to return to form. You hope, all of that is tremendous stuff. But there was always something nagging there. And for all of us in the media, and I'm not just saying it's just myself and Mike Clemens, we're only the people where it's, masters of the obvious, but it's been written about time and again. It's been talked about. People both on microphones and away from microphones. We've all been doing this. And they were not giving us the positivity regarding David Bakhtiari and that injury that we wanted to hear. Here's then the question. And you go, now think of this. Think of this for a second, okay? Back when David Bakhtiari re-signed his second big contract with the Green Bay Packers, okay? At the time, we all said, you got to do this, right? You got to re-sign him. You got to give him this contract. You got to make him the highest paid tackle. He's considered the best in the industry. You got to do this. But there was still that voice that was back there in the back of your head saying, and you hated to go to this reference, but remember, Ted Thompson always said, never a second big contract for an offensive lineman. Just won't do it. The injury and the recovery is just too much risk. He just didn't do that. It was very, 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 very rare cases that Ted Thompson would consider that. So for all of us, it's kind of like the Christian Yelich signing. At the time, absolutely, it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. You make that deal. For that amount of money, for what you have, you make that deal. And remember, it's, Aaron Rodgers had already talked about, the fact that a lot of these good players, you bring them along, you develop them, and then you get them. And then when they're in good positions, you let them go. What are we doing? And we all agreed, right? So to make that deal for David Bakhtiari, second big contract for the Packers, considered the best left tackle in football prior to the injury, no-brainer. No-brainer. Right? And now you start to go, ooh, hindsight being what it is, certainly. You say, well, maybe Ted Thompson's onto something. Maybe back when he said that years and years ago before his passing, he was onto something. You just don't do it a second time. Maybe it's just you let the exception to the rule go just because, you want to live and die by the rule. I don't know. But Bakhtiari on the PUP list. So there you go. Rick says if he's not healed by now, he's done. He's never going to be back to 100%. Ron says Bakhtiari, waste of a roster spot. Time to move on. Ronald says, sorry, I think it's going to be no more than a part-time player from here on out. 877-867-1670. That's the phone number to get a hold of us. 877-867-1670. You can hit us up over on Twitter at Bill_Michaels, at Bill_Michaels. Hit us on the Facebook fan page at facebook.com/The Bill Michaels Show. You can find us on YouTube, watch the program, and participate there as well. Go to youtube.com/Bill Michaels Show. Find us on Twitch TV. Under the same, you can email the program, thebillmichaels@gmail.com, thebillmichaels@gmail.com. And Ben Z. Kenny producing the program at Ben Z. Kenny on Twitter, at Ben Z. Kenny. Ben, how was your weekend, man?
I had a chill, restful weekend.
Did you
I was
play
going to
golf?
ask you a bit. I played a little bit of golf. That didn't go well, but that's okay. We're fighting a lot. I was going to ask you worst news right now. So I cracked my computer screen this morning. I'm dealing with a disaster.
Oh, geez.
There's that. There's Bakhtiari going on the PUP. And most importantly, I think that was neglected. You neglected to mention, Buffett got canceled.
It got postponed. You are correct. So we got there at about noon down to Alpine Valley, the entire crew. And we set up the tailgate, beautiful blue skies, hot as hell. And we set everything up. We did our grilling. We imbibed. We had our food, everything. And we were sitting there eating. And a friend of mine on the police department said, hey, he knocked on the door and said, hey, heads up. They might be canceling this thing for tonight because the weather's looking worse and worse and worse. And so we kind of thought, let's get, which, you know what? And I don't blame them. It's the right call. If you're going to have tremendous downpours and bad weather, you don't put people in risk, and you certainly don't put people out there and that kind of stuff. So not for a concert. So we kind of started packing some things up. And Ben, did you see the picture, by the way, of the RV?
I did. Downtown Waukesha.
Yeah. So I'll tell that story coming up. But so we got the RV, we got the new RV, and it's stunning. It's even more beautiful than the one we had last year. But what we did, now this was cool. So everybody gathered at my house prior to going down to the concert. And one of our friends, his name's Peter. He owns a small microbrew and a bar up in Grafton, Cedarburg, called Rebellion. And he said, oh, what's that over there? And I said, well, that's all the PA system equipment for when I do road broadcasts. And he looked at me and he said, well, why don't we bring that and play the Buffett music through it for our tailgate? Because I just had one of those little JBL speakers, And I said, well, it's kind of big to set up. He's like, how long does it take you? I said, a couple minutes, I guess. He's like, no, we got to take it. We got to take it. So I'm going to tell you more of that story about that coming up. But we ended up setting up the tailgate, taking the PA equipment, blasting Buffett. We had a great big party and a lot of other music. So we had a jamming tailgate site. We had the table set up, the chairs set up, the cooler set up, the food inside the fridge, and on the outside as well. There's a grilling station and a refrigerator outside of this vehicle, which is unbelievably fantastic. So thanks to Cunis RV, because it's amazing. So we got set up, we did our tailgate, and then we got the heads up that this thing might be canceled. So we started tearing it down. And then our buddy drove by on his on the 4x4, one of the police officers, and said, "Yeah, it's they're going to call it." He said, "You may want to get out of here now before the track," because a good crowd had already piled in to Alpine Valley into the parking lots and the fields. So we hightailed it the hell out of there. And just as we were heading to the gate, the announcements came over that Buffett was canceled, and they have postponed it to August 20th. So we're going to go back. We're going to be back for it. But yeah, it was a little bit disappointing. It was somewhat anticlimactic. So what we did was, as we're driving back to my home base, I said, I just kind of, instead of taking, 164 up to where my house is, I drove straight into Waukesha. And everybody's in the back. And it's not that they're in the bag, but everybody been kind of drinking during the day. They're kind of like, where are we going? Nobody could believe that I drove a 40-foot RV through the streets of downtown Waukesha. And I did. And I actually found I parallel parked this thing. And I actually found a parking space. So we had to get out and take a picture of the whole group in front of this thing, which was a lot of fun. It was fantastic. And we just decided to walk the streets of Waukesha. We went to Spring City Wine. We went over to a Nice Ash cigar bar. We went to we parked it down at La Estacion, a Mexican restaurant downtown Waukesha. We went in there about 9:00 at night and had a late meal, and everybody had margaritas and stuff. It was a lot of fun. I mean, I didn't. I'm driving, but it was a blast. It was a blast. So we made the best out of a bad situation, and we'll do it all over again come August 20th, Saturday, August 20th. So there you go. Let's do this because we are going to talk to Mike Clemens next. Mike's going to be at the shareholders meeting, and Mike is going to join us. I know we're a couple minutes early, but we're going to take a break so we get a lot of time with Mike before Mike has to run. This portion of the program brought to you by our good friends at Bud Light. They are the official beer sponsor of the Bill Michaels Sports Talk Network. And don't forget that there is no Wednesday Night Live this week as they get ready for the Wisconsin State Fair, which starts a week from Thursday. No Wednesday Night Live. All the vendors, everybody's starting to move into the Wisconsin State Fair Park. So no Wednesday Night Live this week, but the Wisconsin State Fair starts a week from Thursday. We will be there live Thursday and Friday to kick off the Wisconsin State Fair. Really looking forward to it, but more so thanks to our friends at Bud Light who had a major announcement that came out just before the weekend. A major announcement. I knew about it. I had to sit on it. I couldn't say anything, but a major announcement that came out over the weekend. And I want to get into that discussion a little bit later on in the program as well. They are now taking over the sponsorship of the Fiserv Forum. Fiserv will still be called Fiserv, but they ended up outdoing Miller. I don't know if Miller didn't want it or Budweiser wanted it more, but Bud Light, Budweiser, Beechwood Sales and Distributing all got into the sponsorship of the Fiserv Forum. So you had Miller Park is no longer Miller Park. Miller decided not to renew the 20-year lease on the naming rights for Miller Park. It's now American Family Field. And now they have lost out. They didn't feel it valuable enough to keep the Fiserv Forum. So I know it's met with some disdain, but so be it. Again, I go back to whether it's American Family or Budweiser, whoever's going to support our team, damn it, I give them kudos. And Bud Light did it. So kudos to them as well. And that was a big announcement that came out over the weekend. We'll get more into that coming up. Stay tuned. We got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
On the line up there in Green Bay. Michael, how you doing, pal?
Pretty good. About 17 miles south of Green Bay, headed to Lambeau, and we've got the shareholders meeting happening today inside Lambeau. So there'll probably be maybe 8,000 to 10,000 fans, shareholders there, and Mark Murphy and the board of directors will talk about their financial performance in the past year. Orange Cones, I'm reporting, about 15 miles south of the stadium. You know, they're doing the summer road repairs, so, you know, allow extra time if you're headed up here.
So, Mike, you and I have talked about what's not being said quite a bit. And what's not being said is, oh, Bakhtiari, he's going to be fine. He's going to be ready to go. And we kept talking about it, and it was put off. It was poo-pooed. Don't worry about it. And now it comes to fruition that, sure enough, he's not ready to go. So give me your thoughts first and foremost.
Well, a week ago, you asked me this question on the air as we were kind of going through the list of guys that are coming back from injuries, and that the number one question mark on your offensive line is David Bakhtiari. And you said, do you think he'll be ready next week for practice? And I said 50-50. I did not have a good feeling about it. I know folks that cover this team every day in the media. It seemed like a majority of them said, well, according to LaFleur, gosh, he did play in that game, that half against Detroit. And things have been positive. And I didn't understand that analysis. And here's why. A year ago at this time, Bill, we saw David Bakhtiari jumping up and down and doing drills with the trainer, high-stepping, jumping over things. He actually put on a helmet, took a few snaps. I think it was during camp or maybe in September. The very first day he did that, I took a picture of it and put it on Twitter and showed people, all right, David's working through some of these things. A day or two later, then he wasn't on the field. And then by October, they pretty much admitted there had been a setback, and he had to go in for some cleanup surgery. He suffers the torn ACL on New Year's Eve, getting ready for a game back in 2020. And to me, it just seems like David probably was working it too hard, and then they had to go in and do that second surgery in October. He really didn't want to play that Lions game. He told us the one time we got to talk to him that week that it was Aaron Rodgers that nudged him and said, you should get some snaps into Detroit so you can get ready for the playoffs. Well, he played that half in Detroit. He didn't play in the game. And then, in January, he tells Aaron Negler, yeah, for 15 of the 17 weeks, they were draining my knee. And, when you're coming back from an ACL, you had that knee injury, in college. If you think you've rested up, you think you're ready to try it out, you go on the field, you participate, partially in a practice, where you really can tell is the next day when you wake up. Did the knee respond with some inflammation? Maybe it needs to be drained, or how do you feel the next 48 hours? And obviously, he's still not there yet. And the thing that made me feel negative about this was that last thing that Brian Gutekunst said regarding Bakhtiari 6-7 weeks ago, when he said, we got to be prepared for whatever happens. So to me, the general manager's feeling that he was getting from the physician was it's 50-50 right now. And the other thing is, as I said a year ago this time, you'd see David working out during practice, high-stepping and rehabbing. He didn't touch the field. I went to every OTA, every minicamp practice this spring, Bill. And while others in the rehab group were over there on the traction machines, he was just walking around, not participating, not doing any high-stepping drills. They were totally in, let's let this thing heal first and see how it goes. So anything can happen. Maybe he's back in a week. Maybe he misses camp. Maybe he's back in 2 years. Maybe it's career ending.
Mm-hmm.
It's day to day, and it's up to his knee and the doctors to determine where they're going to be able to go from here.
So now I guess the next question is, because, you wonder about where David Bakhtiari is actually going to be at some point. So we understand that, but now what do you do? The offensive line, Elton Jenkins is not going to be ready for the beginning of the season. We know that. He may not be ready until the end of October. Who knows? Or at all, depending, watching what David Bakhtiari went through. So now the next question is you would assume Yosh Nijman going to be your left tackle. So how does this affect the depth on the offensive line? And the next question is, do you see them, like I think they might pick up a veteran before it's all said and done?
They could pick up a veteran, because to me, after Yosh takes the left tackle position, to me, it's wide open at right tackle. And they talked about some depth charts have got Cole Van Lanen lining up at that position. I'm from Missouri on that one, Bill. You got to show me, because, he was pretty much a practice squad kid last year. Smart football player out of Wisconsin, from Ashwaubenon, but he needed to develop more in terms of his body. He took some of those snaps at right tackle with some of the first team when Jordan Love was out there. But I think that's a huge question mark with Billy going to the Denver Broncos, back to them. They don't have that veteran guy right now that could step in there. I think they're solid at guard with John Runyon and Royce Newman and some of the other backups they've got. And I think some of these rookies are great. But, right tackle right now is a question mark in an open competition between now and when they play the Vikings, if and when Bakhtiari can come back.
Sean Ryan, a guy you had mentioned, I know that when I talked to Wayne Larrabee, he might be more ready to step into a right tackle situation than anybody. And again, you're relying on a rookie, a guy that's going from a left guard position to a right tackle position. Do you see them making that change and putting a rookie in there right away, Mike?
Sure. I'm sure Luke Butkus has talked about what he has seen in the classroom, in the adjustments, in some of these limited drills that they've had this spring to LaFleur. LaFleur will have these guys in helmets and shorts for the first 3 or 4 days, starting this Wednesday. Then next week, when they put on the pads, right away, man, they will line him up against maybe Rashawn Gary, Preston Smith, and see what some of these kids can do on the one-on-ones. Once upon a time, there was a 4th-round pick who Clay Matthews could not get around, and that's how David Bakhtiari won the job as a rookie out of the gate. And then so you got some of these other guys on the PUP. You mentioned Elton Jenkins. Yeah, he didn't do much rehabbing either. As a matter of fact, I even saw him kind of limping around during one of the mini camp sessions. But so, what did he get hurt in November last year with the ACL? Kylan Hill, the running back, another ACL guy. Well, they'll be coming later in the fall. And then Robert Tonyan on that list that came out Friday night from Field Yates. And by the way, Field Yates from ESPN, I learned about where his information is solid. He's ticking off NFL coaches and teams, man, because that stuff that he gets when it comes to the PUP and some of the transactions, he's got an excellent source, and you could take it to the bank. And he was the one that put out that list of the 9 Packers on the PUP Friday night. And then Domofsky, must have got it from the Bakhtiari camp that you could put David in there as well, that he did not pass his physical. He will not be on the field this Wednesday to get started. But Robert Tonyan, that was another one. 50-50, maybe he's back, but he's not. Although you've seen Tonyan, though, doing the rehab, doing the exercises, he's made a lot of progress. So I feel good at some point Tonyan is going to be able to be active during training camp.
Mike, before I let you go, I got to ask you the viral video that came out over the weekend during the game after the rain delay when A.J. Dillion goes to do the Lambeau Leap. Give me your thoughts on that, because there has been a lot of reaction to that.
Yeah, so it's the soccer game that they've got Saturday night, which, by the way, Mark Daniels pointed out, God, they sold over 78,000 tickets to this thing.
Mm-hmm.
And, that's a Packer home game almost has that much, just a little under. That's the average. So big crowd, but we knew that the storms were coming. Sorry about the parrot heads and you guys getting canceled down in the Alpine Valley. So, the game is going on. And what happened before that, they had a rain delay and some naked guy went running on the field. And Evo really needs to get some help. You know what I'm saying? But
yeah.
A naked guy ran onto the field, and security had to wrap him up. And then during the rain delay, A.J. Dillon, this guy, he's everywhere when it comes to community and interacting with fans. I can't think of a player that's been more social and fan-friendly than the way A.J. Dillon has been. He's at that game, and he's got a red Manchester jersey on. And so during the delay, somebody says to him, hey, why don't you go out there and, liven up the fans, maybe do a Lambeau Leap or something. So he goes down to the tunnel, and he's down there in the south end zone, same spot where Leroy invented it, 30 years ago. And he's pointing to the fans, hey, how about I do a Lambeau Leap? Some of these 2 security guys, one is an officer. They think they've got some nut on the field. Like, where did he come from? And they grab him, and they start to question him. It happens just in a matter of seconds. But one guy got kind of pushy with him. One of the security guys got kind of pushy with A.J. Dillon after A.J. probably identified himself. No, I'm A.J. Dillon from the Packers. Can I just do a Lambeau leap here? Well, okay. And he kind of pushes and shoves him. And I put that up on my Twitter account because a fan, had the video of it. And then he went and did the Lambeau leap. But, it's like the cops, they can't win. Everything they do is on videotape. But he probably could have been a little bit, the officer could have been a little bit more congenial, handling whoever that was that they'd come out to be with the fans. So an awkward moment for a couple of moments, to be sure.
Mike, good stuff. Enjoy the shareholders meeting, and then we will talk again. I'll talk to you later today because I'm thinking that we might be up there for the broadcast for the start of training camp on Wednesday, but we'll work out the details.
All right. Okay. Well, I know some buddies that are looking forward to get together with you and, go out and carve up some steaks. Have you got a question for Murphy? Because I'm going to be able to talk to Mark. Because the profits are great. They really bounced back last year, and Title Tom is fantastic as an outside revenue source. Just ask the Chicago Bears, man. They've got envy for what Green Bay is doing. That's why they want to get out of the downtown. Here's my number one question for Mark. All right, all this other stuff you got going with Title Town is great. What are you going to do about game day parking for fans? Right? I mean, they got the grassy fields. They got all the activities in the parking lot around the stadium. And you got fans walking 6 blocks, in January to games. If you guys think of anything, put it on my Twitter account, and I'll see if I can ask the Packers CEO about it this afternoon.
Well, you would assume that there is a rather large parking garage and upward built structure coming in the very near future. Don't you figure that?
Right. Well, I think that's a revenue stream, right? I mean, not only for Packer game days, but for things that happen in that area at the rest center or activity you have at Title Town. If you got 4 or 5 stories, maybe south of the stadium, so it doesn't kind of block the view, but just to get the more fans a block away from the stadium, like you do for most other sports venues, would be a good idea. So I'm going to see if I can get some answers on that today.
Yep. I would assume so. Good stuff, Mike, as always. Appreciate it, buddy.
Thank you, Bill.
Talk to you soon. There you go. Mike Clemens giving us the lowdown, his thoughts as to the news that David Bakhtiari still not capable of full participation. And now you really, really, really start to wonder. Now you really start to question what's going on and if he's ever going to be able to return and be a full go. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Our friends at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin, they have till the end of the month 4 years, no interest financing. If you want to go in that direction, 4 years, no interest. Think about it. Okay. Or how about this? How about $250 off a window per window? If you're going to just do it in that particular, way, say you only got a couple of windows to replace rather than the whole house, go in that direction. Maybe you want the slider windows, $400 off per slider window as well. Plenty of different options right now to finance or to get money off at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Give them a call. They can, for the free in-home consultation, You can check that out. Free. They'll come in, custom measure, then they can custom order, manufacture, assemble, install different hardware, match it up to the interior, the exterior of your home. You're good to go. Check it out. PellaWI.com. That is Pella, P-E-L-L-A. PellaWI.com. That's PellaWI.com. Or the easiest way to do it will be just call them 855-PELLA-WI. That's 855-PELLA-WI. Again, 855-PELLA-WI. Either way, both of those financing offers, tremendous, but even better so, the Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. That is a great investment, and that is a great value. Stay tuned. More of the Bill Michaels Show next.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
One of the worst things that you can hear, you have cancer. The worst is when you hear the words, your child has cancer. When a child is diagnosed with cancer, it changes their world. Sometimes they can't even do things that they really love, like playing soccer, riding a bike, going to prom, attending school. Children with cancer spend a lot of time away from others, time in the hospital, treatments, tired, nauseous, and they feel isolated. That's where Special Spaces Wisconsin steps in. They provide these children with a special space where they can not only sleep, but they can play, they can heal, they can spend time away from the challenges of their illness. It's a customized bedroom designed just for them. How about a princess castle or pirate ship or a sports themed bedroom? They transform that child's existing bedroom into a place that only he or she can imagine, a place for them just to be a kid. This effort is done with teams of dedicated volunteers and sponsors, just like our friends from Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin and all the community partners. If you'd like to find out more or to donate, go to specialspaces.org. That is specialspaces.org.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Those are the words of Matt LaFleur. Welcome back to the program. By the way, Mike Clemens earlier joining us talking about David Bakhtiari and getting into that discussion. Mike, again this year, brought to you by our friends at the Bay Motel in Green Bay. Quiet, cozy, comfortable, and just 1 mile from Lambeau Field. It's perfect for a family stay, or maybe you're heading up for training camp or a game. The Bay Family Restaurant, home-style cooking 7 days a week. The Bay Motel, 1301 South Military Avenue in Green Bay. Call them today for reservations. See if they have some availability. 920-494-3441. 920-494-3441. Or go online to baymotelgreenbay.com. That is baymotelgreenbay.com. Welcome back to the program. I'm Bill Michaels. And today, we haven't really gotten into the Brewers side of things. Okay. We haven't done that yet. And we will, because the Brewers had a pretty solid weekend, hoping to get the 4-game sweep of the Colorado Rockies coming up later tonight at American Family Field. Also, the announcement of the Fiserv Forum, switching from Miller to Budweiser products. So that was a big announcement over the weekend as far as sponsorship goes. So we've got that to discuss. Just a lot happening, but I think the larger news over the weekend came when it was leaked out that David Bakhtiari, going to the PUP list, not going to be able to start the season with the team. Hey, one other side note, and I just had somebody over on the Facebook fan page ask me this, said, what was the final of your poll question last week when you talked about the Brewers? What are they closer to being, a World Series contender or out of the playoffs? The final votes, just under 500 votes. 79.7% of you said out of the playoffs. 20.3% say World Series contender. I don't know if that's going to, or if that would change if we put it up again after the weekend, success that the Brewers had. But nevertheless, it was still a pretty distinct thought, so to speak. Couple of things. First of all, Field Yates says the Packers placed 9 players on the PUP list, including Tanyan, Christian Watson. I'm not kidding. Elton Jenkins, Mason Crosby, and the D lineman Dean Lowry. You're like, well, wait a minute. What? Field Yates, going back last week, said they placed 9 players in the PUP list, including the tight end Robert Tanyan, wide receiver, the rookie Christian Watson, who the Packers traded up to get, the offensive lineman Elton Jenkins, which we all knew, Mason Crosby, their kicker, and the defensive lineman Dean Lowry. All of that happening. So now remember, any player that's actually placed on the PUP list before training camp can come off of that PUP list at any time. So it's not awful. Remember that. It's not, we're 6, 8, 10 weeks into the season. You're still wondering what's going to, these guys basically, they're not ready to go yet. Hang in there. They're not ready to go yet. Hang in there. But that was the group of people that were put on the PUP list. So we'll find out more, obviously, as the Christian Watson discussion, because you're going to say, well, wait a minute, that you traded up to get that guy. Traded up to get that guy. Hang on there a second. Wait a minute. Why are you putting your rookie on the PUP list? So we're going to find out what exactly the issues are. 877-867-1670. So let's do this. We're going to talk to Matt Mitchell on it. He's going to talk a little betting with us. That's coming up, which a new segment, by the way, begins today where we're going to talk some betting and such. All brought to you by our friends at Potawatomi Hotel Casino, a big sponsor of the 15th annual poker run benefiting Fisher House, Wisconsin. We got that coming up. Got to get into a few of the stat lines, so to speak. You've got obviously the Brewers and what their bet lines are now to get themselves not only into the postseason, but how deep they could possibly go. What does all of this do when we start looking at potential favorites to win a Super Bowl, to win divisions and such? How close are the Minnesota Vikings to the Green Bay Packers, as that statement was made last week? We got all of that coming up. Stay tuned. A lot more of the Bill Michaels Show coming up right after this.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes.
It's a tremendous summer, and we're only halfway through it. Our friends over there at Potawatomi Hotel Casino reminding you it is a big money summer as well. Stop in at Potawatomi Hotel Casino just down the road a bit from American Family Field in Milwaukee, and let your summer vacation begin. A lot of events, a lot of different happenings going on down at Potawatomi Hotel Casino. Also a big sponsor of the 15th annual poker run benefiting Fisher House, Wisconsin. We can't say thanks enough to them. And they bring you this portion of the program. And Matt Mitchell, the audio director over there at the Action Network, a New York-based media company that has become part of the market leader in sports betting, whether it's news, picks, information. He's got it all. They've got it all. And he now joins us, going to be joining us a couple of times a week, as a matter of fact, on the line. Matt, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Bill. Thanks for having me.
Well, let's start off with all this news regarding pup lists, and specifically here in our own backyard. When you hear a name like David Bakhtiari, you've got Christian Watson, their first-round draft choice, their kicker, Mason Crosby. How much does this start to affect the betting lines for, say, teams that will win the division, teams that are Super Bowl favorites, things like that?
Ultimately, the availability of a non-quarterback will have a pretty minimal impact on betting lines. I mean, unless there's a number of them in concert and it's beginning to impact a week one line, but we're so far out from that for a lot of these players. And, when we talk about a player availability, it's basically quarterback or nothing in terms of impacting actual odds and futures markets for the NFL. So I wouldn't be too concerned about value impacting Packers ticket holders.
How much does, when you see big movement, Tyreek Hill goes to the Dolphins, Devontae Adams goes to the Raiders, how much do you said it's basically non-quarterback impact. Do those guys, do big names like that impact betting lines, impact teams, so to speak, and catches and all the different side bets and prop bets and such that go into some of the seasons?
Oh, sure. I mean, you'll see enormous impact in prop betting markets because that's a player like Hill, for example. Suddenly, Tua becomes a much more viable option for fantasy players and in individual prop markets. But really, the NFL is, it's well known. It's a quarterback league. The quarterback is the straw that stirs the drink, both from a team perspective, a fan perspective, and from a betting perspective. They have an outsized impact, but anything that's in service to those players. So an offensive lineman like Bakhtiari, a incredible pass catcher like Tyreek Hill, they will have an impact, kind of by proxy. But really, if a player is not one of those top 15 quarterbacks, a lot of them are considered kind of an entry apiece. They'll have a pretty minimal impact on a betting market.
Now I want to get a little more specific. Obviously, we go to the baseball side of things. We look at the start, the unofficial start of the second half of the season. The Brewers 2.5 games up in the Cardinals right now. And as the Brewers go, offensively speaking, what are the odds that not only one, they win the division, but two, what they do in the postseason? I know there's other teams that are ranked much, much higher than they are. Obviously, the Yankees, number one team right now, picked to win the World Series. But in say, confidence betting, where do the Brewers fall in all of that?
Well, it's funny, Bill. I was listening to your recent conversation about whether or not the Brewers should be buyers at the deadline. And right now, the Brewers are 20-1 to win the World Series. So that implies a little bit less than a 5% chance of winning it all. They're plus 850 to win the National League, so about a 10% chance of winning just the National League. Like, that's not a team that's knocking on the door of a World Series championship. They are prohibitive favorites. They're minus 215 to win the NL Central, which is almost 70% implied odds there. So they're, despite being a pretty heavy favorite to win their division, they're still a pretty big underdog to win it all. And that tells me that unless they're making a series of enormous moves to add, like you've talked about before, a huge bat and a huge arm, even then, I don't think any realistic Brewers fan sees that happening based on the way this team is owned and operated. So I think this team would be probably better off staying put or making a small move and just hoping to win a series than going for broke and winning a World Series. That feels unlikely. And knowing their the way their odds are right now, I don't see it having I don't see their odds moving very much.
So at the beginning of the season, a lot of people picked, I think it was 87 wins was kind of the Brewers average. Correct me if I'm wrong, but
That sounds about right.
So I'm thinking to myself, if I'm going to still look at some of these odds and some of these win totals and such, is there a team right now that you like that is going to exceed expectations? And is there a team right now that you want to stay away from?
Well, I think the Seattle Mariners, it's not a lot of the value is gone right now because of their recent incredible win streak. We're heading into the All-Star break, but I think the Mariners break their streak of playoff appearances. They haven't made a playoff series. I'm actually something of a Mariners fan myself. I remember watching those playoff games a million years ago back in 2001. I think this is the year the Mariners break that streak. I think they are starting to put it together. A lot of the potential is being realized. I think they're a team to buy moving forward. Unfortunately, they're up against in their division a powerhouse like the Astros, a top 3 World Series favorite right now. But I would be looking to buy on the Seattle Mariners in the second half of the season.
I do have to ask you before I let you go real quick. I know that Major League Baseball expressed some concerns over sports betting and the legalization. While the NBA is embracing it, the NFL has fully embraced it for a while now, and that's what's actually propped the NFL up to be the number 1 sport pretty much in America. So give me your thoughts on Major League Baseball's hesitation when it comes to legalizing betting on its sport.
Major League Baseball's run, in my opinion, pretty strangely and with a pretty antiquated model. And I think they'll come along sooner than later. But they are, I think, very foolish to not be embracing betting in all of its forms. They do have a formal relationship with my employer, the Action Network, so they're not anti-gambling entirely. But I think their feet dragging will end up just hurting them and their bottom line. And I think they're seeing the success and the revenue streams that are coming into the other major league sports. And I think that will ultimately money will talk. And I think that'll change their minds within the next season.
Matt, I look forward to a great season with you, buddy. Mondays, Fridays, we'll get it done. I appreciate it, okay?
Can't wait. Thanks, Bill.
All right, buddy. There you go. Matt Mitchell going to be with us quite a bit of the Action Network. You can download the Action Network app. You don't have to just go with your gut feeling. Get some great bets, get some great information right there on the Action Network. Download the Action Network app. It's all brought to you by Potawatomi Hotel Casino. Go in there and make your summer fun. Stay tuned. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up right after this.
Want to make your summer even better? Potawatomi Hotel and Casino has 500,000 ways, like winning your share of $500,000 in cash and prizes. Over 100 winners every Thursday. For your chance to win, just play with your club card July 1st through the 28th. So go ahead, book that beach vacation, that up north cottage getaway, or make it a staycation to remember. Your summer just got even better. Only at Potawatomi.
Colorado Rockies yesterday at American Family Field. Now, 8 of the Brewers' 10 RBIs yesterday came on 2-strike hits. Here's more from manager Craig Counsell.
But it was everybody throughout the game. I mean, that rally started with 2 outs, started with 2 strikes on Yelly, and 4 guys in a row had really good at-bats. Huicho's at bat in the first inning, whole bunch of foul balls and driving in 2. So it was a game of, I think both sides, lots of guys had good at-bats.
Josh Hader would also appear in the 9th, recording his 28th save in 30 opportunities. The Brewers are going for their 4-game sweep over the Rockies. Tonight, first pitch is at 7:10. This weekend also saw Milwaukee announce they're locking up one of its young pitchers for the long term, as Aaron Ashby got a 5-year contract with the club. The Brewers currently sit 53-43 on the year, 2.5 games above the St. Louis Cardinals for first place in the NL Central.
Want to save even more at Fleet Farm? Well, now you can with Fleet Rewards. It's free to sign up, and there's no credit card required. Using Fleet Rewards is easy. Earn points every time you shop. Plus, get exclusive member offers, birthday and anniversary perks, free tire rotations, and more. Download the Fleet Farm app or create an account at fleetfarm.com/rewards to start earning points today. Fleet Farm, proudly serving the Midwest since 1955.
David Bakhtiari won't be on the field for Green Bay when they open up training camp on Wednesday. The Packers placed the former All-Pro on the physically unable to perform list on Saturday. Bakhtiari continues to deal with complications in returning from a torn ACL he suffered at the end of the 2020 season. He also joins his fellow offensive lineman on the PUP list, who is attempting to return from a torn ACL himself. For the Wisconsin Sports Zone Network, I'm Ebo.
Welcome in, one and all. It is the Bill Michaels Show on a Monday. You've got Brewers baseball. They are off to a relatively hot, unofficial second half of their season. 3 straight over the Colorado Rockies, going for the sweep coming up tonight down at American Family Field. You've got Budweiser taking over the sponsorship of the Fiserv Forum when it comes to beer sales, and then the shareholders meeting taking place today. But really the big news was the announcement that David Bakhtiari going to the PUP list, as the knee, as we all kind of got that gut feeling, is not right, which is to say disconcerting, I think would be putting it a little bit mildly. You know what I mean? So welcome into the program, and Packers training camp just a couple of days away. The State of the Union address, basically, for Packers fans, coming up today at Lambeau Field. Mike Clemens on hand. You heard him in the first hour of the program today talk and give his thoughts on all of this. I still think, now this might just be me, but I still think that with that announcement that David Bakhtiari and the knee not where they needed to be, that there is going to be a veteran at some point that is going to come into this situation via the Green Bay Packers. Now I think you might have to go out and find somebody. You might have to go find yourself a veteran. If anything, just add depth. Just add depth on your offensive line. It's not wildly detrimental because Josh Nijman filled in a left tackle last year and did it admirably. But with him, David Bakhtiari being down and Elton Jenkins being down, now you really start to have a concern for the protection of Aaron Rodgers. Like I said, they did a really tremendous work in the second half of the season after Elton Jenkins went down, but you've lost Billy Turner, you've lost some of your depth, you brought in new guys. You really, if you're Butkus, man, you really got to get these guys schooled up and get them ready to go. And what direction are they going to go? In the meantime, you had big controversy coming out of the world of NASCAR. If you saw, Chase Elliott ended up winning a race that he never led one lap of yesterday at Pocono. Denny Hamlin and Kyle Busch of Joe Gibbs Racing, after they peeled the wrap, the stickering wrap off of their vehicles, they were found to be illegal in those kit cars. And so both were then disqualified. So controversy over in the world of NASCAR as well. But good weekend for the Brewers, bad weekend if you're a Packers fan. And now all of the hope and optimism begins to be kind of set its course, if you will, on Wednesday when training camp opens. So there you go. 877-867-1670. If you want to hit us up, the phone number, hit us up on Twitter at Bill_Michaels, or at Ben Z Kenny, at Ben Z Kenny. You can follow us over on the Facebook fan page. Go to facebook.com/The Bill Michaels Show. You can track us down on YouTube. Subscribe for free on YouTube, as a matter of fact. Go to youtube.com. That's youtube.com/Bill Michaels Show. youtube.com/Bill Michaels Show, and hit us up over there. We would love to have you. We have, I think we have over 2,300 subscribers just on YouTube alone, which continues to grow. It's awesome. So thanks so much. And you can email the program the old-fashioned way, vbillmichaels@gmail.com. As a matter of fact, our buddy Steve says, it was a little disheartening to hear that the Green Bay Packers placed on the PUP list the guys most concerning Bakhtiari. I'm starting to question if his career is ending. I'm also interested to see why Christian Watson is on the list. He just finalized his contract last week. Did the Packers know he was going to start it on the PUP list? What a weekend for the Brewers, though. Great start to the second half. Yesterday's back-and-forth game was fun to watch, frustrating at times. I give Colorado a lot of credit. They always seem to put their bat on the ball and keep it in play. I don't know the number of bloop and infield hits that they had this weekend, but it shows what can happen if you actually just make contact. Let's hope that they can get the sweep tonight, though, those being the Brewers. That's from our buddy Steven Richfield. Steve, I completely agree. Completely agree. Good stuff. By the way, coming up tomorrow on the program, I was just informed that we are going to be talking with the former Super Bowl winning head coach of the Baltimore Ravens. Brian Billick is going to join us tomorrow. Give us kind of a season preview, if you will. So I'm anxious for that. That's good stuff. This one's from Jersey Jeff, who says David Bakhtiari was never going to come back. They rushed him back too soon. He re-injured the knee, and now he is done. His career is over. We all can see this coming. While as Packers fans, we want to hold out hope and we want to say a lot of prayers, we also know that it's time to move on. It was bad to give him the contract the second time. TT never would have done that. We talked about that in the first hour. Joyzy, we talked about that in the first hour. Hindsight is easy. It really is. Think about it as a Packers fan. When the Packers gave David Bakhtiari that contract, he was coming off a successful season. He was coming off of the second big contract. You get the first one, rookie. Second one, that's your big one. That third contract, that second big contract, if you will. Ted Thompson has always said that with certain players, you just don't do that. Offensive linemen, it was always a rule of thumb. They don't get that third big deal. They just don't. You don't do it. You let them move on. And we've seen it time and again with other linemen that were really solid, and they let go. I think the only lineman that I've seen, there's probably a couple of them out there. Guys like, trying to think here. Maybe a center or two, but the last time I saw somebody go away and get a big contract and play well for a short period of time was maybe like Mike Wall years ago. But remember, Marco Rivera took the big money. He left and ended up getting hurt, never, really played well again. Josh Sitton, the same thing. You start to go through that list of guys that they let go and they get that contract to go somewhere else, and it just doesn't pan out, doesn't work out well. That third mega contract, those are kind of risky, man. Those are kind of risky. And now the Packers may be paying for it. Now, this is from Brandon. Brandon says, what is 6 more weeks going to give Bakhtiari? It's been over a year and 8 months, and he still has not recovered. Do they really believe that in 6 more weeks, he's suddenly going to become the David Bakhtiari of old? I think not. Can you just cut him loose? No, not unless there's some kind of a medical buyout in all of that. But this is part of the problem when you get into contracts with a lot of guaranteed money in the National Football League. Because what happens is if something like this goes wrong, and because remember, Bakhtiari, if you cut Bakhtiari this year, unless there's some kind of a medical settlement, he's still owed $35.8 million. That would be the dead cap hit if you cut him loose. This year, it would be he's getting a cap hit of $13.4 million. So if Bakhtiari, if you were even thinking about cutting him loose, like next year, let's say you want to cut him loose next year, it would be $23.1 million. Which would estimate it would actually save you $6 million off of what you've projected to be your salary. But dead cap money would be $23.1 million. Like this year, he's only making his cap hit is 13.4, but his dead cap hit, if you cut him loose now, would be 35.8. Next year, he's set to make $29 million. But if you cut him loose, you would only owe him 23, thus clearing $6 million of predetermined cap space. You see what I'm saying? Now, Bakhtiari is going to be a guy that's going to be around for the entire season. They're going to hope to get something out of him. Here's the other thing to question. Okay, here's the other thing to question. Let's just say you get through this season. Bakhtiari somewhat contributes, but he's not to Bakhtiari standards. Now in the offseason, remember, it's a lot of up in the air stuff because you got Aaron Rodgers determining whether or not he wants to come back, and all of that stuff will go on yet again because next year Rodgers' cap hit would be $31 million. The dead cap hit, if you would cut Rodgers, would be 99, which I can't imagine they would do. But let's just say Rodgers sticks around. You would assume Rodgers is here this year and Rodgers is here next year, but they want to cut loose David Bakhtiari. I think at some point you do let Rodgers know what's going on, but it's a very, very real possibility that one of his best friends may not be here next year. Unless Bakhtiari comes back and plays Bakhtiari-esque to say, hey, I'm worthy of a restructure to kind of extend things out again and push it down the road. I think the reality is that the guy that he officiated his wedding, David Bakhtiari, one of the best friends of Aaron Rodgers, most likely will not be here next year. You have to think about that and now we're not even into this season. Okay. So let me completely back it up. It's so premature to even talk about next season or the offseason, but it's something now that you start to stare down the barrel of. Think about that. This is from Jacob. Jacob says, it's time to cut Bakhtiari loose. You can't have an offensive tackle having that much say in the salary cap and not being able to produce. And again, you can't just cut him loose. Not unless there be some kind of an out clause, some type of settlement or something. But no, he's guaranteed a lot of money. He's going to get that money. That's part of the problem when you guarantee a lot of money. You're stuck for a year. And this is also the reason, now think about it, this is also the reason that if the Packers need to go out and find themselves another a depth guy when it comes to their their offensive line. This is the reason you have what do they try to save? They always try to save like 15 or 20 million under the cap. Because if you got to go out and pay somebody to come in, what are you sitting at? Like 15? I think the estimation is like 15.8 million right now. The Packers are under the cap. It could be $2, $3, $7, $8 million, depending on what kind of quality you get. And you could still need to go out and find yourself another wideout as well. And figure something out there. There you go. Thoughts? Phone lines wide open, 877-867-1670. Meantime, this one's from Chase, who says, hey, unit, the wide receiver position just got murky. What the hell is Christian Watson doing on the PUP list? Did they know this when they signed him to his contract over the weekend? I'm sure they did. I'm sure they knew that there was something. You can't, because he still has to come in and take a physical. He still has to be looked at. They had to figure out there was something there. Now, again, the PUP list means that you're on it right now. You're not absorbing that roster spot. You can bring in more players and allow guys to heal. When you get put on the PUP list prior to training camp, you've got, at any point in time, you can come back, but you're not a roster spot. So they can bring in additional guys. You can kind of expand that roster, so to speak. If you've got any kind of an ailment that would not allow you to participate right away, you can go to the PUP list. So you can expand your ability to bring in additional players, if that makes sense. Because Christian Watson was doing a lot from what we understand this offseason. Yes, Ben.
Bill, no official reports out there about what the injury is, but the chatter does point towards it not being serious.
You would assume. Right. You would assume. This is from Planet Jane, who says, so what is your level of panic? Regarding the Bakhtiari thing? Planet Jane? It's no different than it was last year. I believe they'll figure it out. I think they've got tremendous coaching up front on the offensive line. So I think they'll figure it out. What I'm thinking, though, is not necessarily the panic for the line and the starters, whoever they determine to be starting, because you would assume that Yosh Nijman is not going to be your left tackle. Your right tackle, I think, is more in question, and your depth begins to become an issue. That's more so where I'm starting to raise an eyebrow. So I think that Josh Nijman will do fine work over at left tackle, John Runyon at the left guard, Josh Myers at your center. Now, do you bounce Royce Newman out to right tackle and then fill in with Sean Ryan or Zach Tom, one of your two draft choices? Or do you add depth with Cole Van Lannon? Or do you try to say, put Sean Ryan, an actual rookie, at the right tackle position? Or do you go get somebody? Because if you get one more guy, your depth, you're fine. So my panic meter right now, if you want to call it that, I'm sitting at maybe a 2, maybe a 3, but I'm not panicking. It's a big name, and it's considered to be one of the best offensive tackles in football that is not going to be available again. The Packers figured a way around it last year. I'm sure they'll figure a way around it this year. And I guess where my hope lies is that not only does David Bakhtiari come back and be somewhat serviceable, but then you get Elton Jenkins back in a couple of months, and he becomes again your right tackle. So just through kind of osmosis, you get better up front in the trenches as the season goes on. That's what I'm hoping for. That would be the ultimate level of success regarding the offensive line. But if you believe Elton Jenkins is nowhere near close, if you believe, you're looking at David Bakhtiari going, this is not going to end well. Okay, now your level goes up a little bit of panic because you have to add depth on that offensive line. We'll wait and see what happens there. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Wisconsin Harley-Davidson. They are the landing spot for the Big Units Poker Run benefiting Fisher House, Wisconsin. But oh my goodness, they have bikes. They're getting new bikes in. I just saw another truckload of them. Also, the motor clothes department, they're in that shift right now. A lot of the summer stuff going back to that clearance room. And then the new stuff, the good leathers, the new leathers, the helmets, the shoes, all that kind of stuff, all starting to come in. And here's the thing. This is how great this place is. So last week, because every year for a few years, I've gotten different bikes to ride, and I do it through kind of a sponsorship deal. And this is how much I believe in them. So last week they said, hey, Bill, it might be time that let's switch you out of the bike that you're on. And I am on a 2020 Road Glide, and I love it. I mean, I absolutely love it. I love the color. I love the ride. I love the way it just handles. It just, not that all bikes aren't the same, but all bikes are also a little bit different. They have different personalities, if you will. I love it. And the fact that, Craig said, hey, if you want to do this, let's work this out. I went in and bought the damn thing. And the process was amazing. I knew in 5 minutes it was approved. It was done through financing, the whole thing. I ended up adding some stretch bags to my deal. And I put stretch bags on the finance, new boom, HD boom audio system on this thing. It's all going to be done hopefully here in the next week for Sturgis. I can't wait. But that's how much I love this place, and that's how much I love the bike. So do what I did. If you're going to go buy and you're looking to buy, you can go shop around, go to a lot of different places. But then you're going to end up calling my buddy Craig Winger, the general manager over at Wisconsin Harley, who is not only great to deal with, but he becomes your friend along the way. And that's what's happened for me years and years ago, and I'm sure it'll happen to you as well. I just sent the GM from Cunis, as a matter of fact, Scott Reamer. I said Scott had some issues with his bike at another dealership. I said, call my buddy Craig. Craig got him on the phone. The next day, sent a trailer, picked up his bike, had it not only diagnosed, something that another dealership had been missing, diagnosed, but said, I'll make sure it's fixed before Sturgis. That's the kind of service they have. Go to wishd.com. That is wishd.com. The best Harley-Davidson dealership, according to myself and others via survey, for years and years and years in the state of Wisconsin. They're great. Go to wishd.com. That is wishd.com. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Glad to have you back. The Bill Michaels Show continues on. You're heading down to the Brewers game tonight to make your first stop at Stenny's, second to National Walker's Point. They're running shuttles to American Family Field before and after the game. So stop down there, get some of the best wings you're ever going to have, and stuff the Bill Michaels garlic cheese bread in your mouth, maybe a couple of beverages, and then let them do the driving. Let our buddy Billy do the driving over to American Family Field. Drop you off, pick you up, bring you back at the end of the night. Then you can get back into your vehicle and head home. There you go. It's a way to go. Make it Stenny's, Milwaukee's best sports bar. A couple of things. I had a question here about Michael Thomas. Michael Thomas, from what I understand, not released, but he went on the PUP list as well. Michael Thomas, Jalen Ramsey, Darius Leonard, all among some of the injured going into this season. But yeah, Michael Thomas, J.K. Dobbins, the running back, was out for the Ravens, but all of that kind of stuff. So you got that going on. There you have it.
Should we do a segment where I read all 200 names?
No. No. But I know there were some people asking whether or not he was released. And he was not released, but he's on the PUP list. There you go. What are your thoughts, Ben, as to Christian Watson? First of all, the injury not being serious, whatever the problem is, but the fact that he goes on the PUP list. I can't remember the last time a rookie like that went on the PUP list.
I mean, him specifically, there's been the story all offseason that, week 1, week 2, can we rely on the rookies to do anything? I think this whole timeline is only ensuring my thought that I don't think they'll really do anything for the first couple weeks of the season. Mm-hmm. Maybe we'll get a flash there from Dubs or from Toure or maybe from Watson. But I think for at least the first month, we're really relying on Randall Cobb, Alan Lazard, and the running backs to do everything.
By the way, in Mark Murphy's speech to the shareholders, he says the Packers obviously in good financial shape, and that they're well over 530,000 shareholders now after the stock sale, but also talked about Aaron Rodgers and his quest for excellence, and then gave recognition to Davante Adams, who was traded to the Raiders, and said that he's confident he'll return for a Packers Hall of Fame induction at some point. So already eyeballing Davante Adams' return in some way, shape, or form for Davante Adams in his return for the possibility of going into the Packers Hall of Fame. So there you have it there. Said he looks forward to the day when Adams comes back and is indeed inducted into the Green Bay Packers Hall of Fame. By the way, speaking of the shareholders meeting, we should be able to bring a lot of that to you, some of the audio of that to you, coming up here probably in the next hour. But a big day up in Green Bay. It's always I'm not going to say a big day necessarily in the sense of breaking news, but it's exciting. It's kind of the indicator that we're training camp is upon us. Training camp's here. It's time to kind of start looking forward to football again, as many of us do. So it's another sign of midsummer. It's another sign of football on the horizon that gives you that pause for smile if you're a football enthusiast such as we are. So good stuff there. This is from Max. Max says, without David Bakhtiari, Aaron Rodgers' blind side is now exposed. He is going to go down again with some kind of a devastating injury. This is about the time that Aaron Rodgers just starts to look great and then gets hurt. So we have to prepare for Jordan Love. Man, you talk about throwing out the gauntlet of doom. Damn. First of all, David Bakhtiari didn't play last year and Rodgers didn't get hurt. So I'm not going to say just because Bakhtiari's not there, I'm counting on it. Bakhtiari only played, 27 snaps all of last season? So how can you say that? That is more happenstance. It's not because of Bakhtiari not being there. That's more happenstance than anything. And I hope it doesn't happen. I hope that, knock on wood, that Rodgers, things under Matt LaFleur, the offense is different to where two things have happened consistently. One is they've been able to move the football pretty much so. Now, it has been stymied in the postseason, and that's been disappointing because Matt LaFleur has not flourished in the postseason, the offense specifically. Okay. However, I will say this, this offense really does put Aaron Rodgers in position to make plays and avoid harm. The only time harm becomes very evident is in a distinct mismatch. And last year we saw that against the San Francisco 49ers, where it was just it was like a sieve. It was just bad. The offensive line just couldn't keep up. But that was it. Rodgers really didn't get his brains beat in last year. He didn't get thrown to the ground a ton last year. So I'm not, again, I'm not saying it's not going to happen because of very much it's football. It can. But I'm not just going to say because David Bakhtiari's not here that all of a sudden there's this gaffe in the protection for Aaron Rodgers. I'd be more worried because of the depth, because of the depth, not because of the starters, because I think for the most part the offensive line's pretty solid. There you go. Got a question from Rick when we come back over on the Bud Light live stream. I think it's valid. I've got my opinion on this, but more so a friend of mine gave me some insight that not being a follower of the sport closely, I would not have known specifically on the outside looking in. So it's a great question, and I want to get to it. I will not ignore it, Rick. Hang in there. Hey, our friends over at Forgotten Fire Winery, they are great people, and had a tremendous discussion about them over the weekend, whether it comes to their Moscatos that are now bottled and ready to go, whether it comes to their award-winning Merlot, or whether it just comes to having fun in a bottle. I had a couple of people that are wine enthusiasts that said, Bill, I tried it. And they kind of went, got to tell you, didn't know Wisconsin could produce some pretty good wines, which was a nice feather in the cap for Forgotten Fire Winery. All I say is try it. If you haven't, do it. And if you do, if you have, then you know what it is I'm talking about. Our friends at Forgotten Fire Winery up in Peshtigo, Wisconsin. Support local, support the business right here in our state. Support them. Just small winery right there in Peshtigo. And they're just good people. They just believe in having fun. They believe in enjoying drinks with friends. That's what they believe in. And that's what it should be all about. Go to ForgottenFireWinery.com. ForgottenFireWinery.com. And if you do, there's the Bill Michaels special. Oh my God, you can get that as well. Go to ForgottenFireWinery.com, but look for it in your local grocery stores, liquor stores, wine stores. ForgottenFireWinery.com. ForgottenFireWinery.com. Again, ForgottenFireWinery.com. More of the Bill Michaels Show. Good question coming up next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
I hate being late to the ballpark. You just missed a home run. Gina Della for Pella. I can't believe my seat is next to yours. Peanut? I'm allergic to them. Aw, nuts. You know, I'm always late to things. No one procrastinates like me. The worst is that I missed out on that incredible deal you were offering at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Missed what? It just started. Get beautiful Pella windows and pay no interest for 4 years. That's the one. Imagine the money you'd save by not paying interest for 4 years. Okay. Don't rub it in. Rub what in? The deal just started at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Seriously? Yep. You're just making an exception because you feel bad for me. No, for real. It's hard to believe that a deal this good exists, but it does. You just missed another home run? Oh, this is too important. I'm trying to find the website on my phone. It's PellaWI.com.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Oh, the Blues Travelers band still cranking it out, and they said they sound exactly the way they've sounded for years. Perfect. So, Blues Travelers still touring and kicking down there at Tinley Park. Hey, this portion of the program brought to you by our friends over there at Skipper Buds. Skipper Buds, kind enough to put my boat back together, put a great deal in place for myself. They can do the same for you. Check out skipperbuds.com. That's skipperbuds.com. Or if you just want to stop in and see my buddy Todd, he's the general manager over there at Skipper Buds in Pewaukee. Call him 262-544-1200 for yachts, pontoons, sport and deck boats, fishing boats, and yes, the best in water sports and jet boats. They've got it all. Again, call Todd 262-544-1200 and maybe get yourself that mid-season deal, because we're not done by any stretch of the imagination. Not done with summer yet. Get a hold of him. So the question just before we went to break that I wanted to allude to, Rick hit us up over in the Bud Light live stream, and you can do so over there as well. You can always find us over in the Bud Light live stream on Facebook.com/The Bill Michaels Show on the Facebook Live page. But YouTube, that's a great way to get the show every day via video feed. So he said, what did you think about the 75,000 plus? It was 78,000 plus actually at Lambeau Field for the soccer game over the weekend. He said, I didn't expect that kind of turnout. This is the way it was put to me, and I'm not a huge follower when it comes to soccer. Okay, I think we all know that. But the way it was described to me, like when the Brewers had the, quote, friendly that was played at Miller Park of the couple of soccer clubs some years back, it was kind of two, I'm going to say, somewhat unknown teams. But the way this was put to me was this was like the Yankees and Red Sox of soccer that played a friendly at Lambeau Field when it comes to the size of these soccer clubs. This was a big deal. if you follow soccer. So soccer enthusiasts came from all over to see that game. So I didn't know. I mean, I figured it would go over pretty well. I didn't know how well it would go over. I certainly didn't think it would be 78,000. I thought, 60, 65,000, something like that. I didn't think they'd sell the place out the way they did, but kudos to them. But because it was put to me that way, I can see that. I can see that tour that they put together for these teams to travel the country, why it was so popular. Because, again, the way it was put to me was, hey, if you go over, say, to London to see the Yankees and the Red Sox and then take them all around the UK and such, it'd be pretty much sold out everywhere to see those two historic teams go at it. I guess it's the same thing in the world of soccer. So when it was told to me that way, I kind of went, oh, okay, now I get it. Now I understand why there were so many people there. They did delay the game for a short period of time. They cleared the stands because of some lightning. But what was the way it was told to me, and I don't know if you were there, you could maybe tell me, your experience, but the way it was told to me was early on, they said, weather's coming. We want to clear the stands. And they did. And then they brought everybody back out. And then the harsher weather actually hit with more lightning, but they wanted to get the game done. They just, because it was the last leg of this particular, friendly tour, if you will, and they wanted to get the game done. So my buddy put it, he said, hey, once they got into it and the game was going on and they, it was a 1-0 score at the end. And so, but he said, look, they just wanted to get this thing done. They weren't going to clear the stands again. People would have left. So they just let it go. They let them play through the rain, through the storm. So they said they got it out and got it in, and that's the way it went down. But it was pretty cool to see Lambeau Field highlighted on the Four Letter Network and on a lot of the local newscasts in the sense of a pitch rather than a football field. But it was pretty nice. Rick said the next question then, do the Packers buy an MLS franchise to diversity and optimize its earnings of the stadium? I don't think so. They are not in the soccer business. Their primary revenue generating stream will always be, and the concentration will always be on Green Bay Packers. I think they just do things around it to accentuate the profitability of obviously Green Bay Packers Incorporated, but I don't think they ever buy. I just don't think that enough people on a daily basis are going to be able to drive to Green Bay to see soccer games. I just don't think that. A caller also asks, why can't soccer increase offense so it becomes more interesting? Don't know. It was funny because a friend of mine who loves soccer, he says, hey, as I put it, the falling down lame guys that writhe around on the ground and act like they're dying only to pop back up and go out and play, and the fakeness that is the injury of the soccer world. How can those guys play through a storm, but Jimmy Buffett can't play through a storm? Because we were kind of texting back and forth at the same time. I said, look, I don't know, but I thought that was rather funny for my buddy Dan to text me and say, hey, these guys are always criticized for being weak and faking injury and thriving around on the ground, but yet Jimmy Buffett doesn't want to. By the way, Jimmy Buffett wanted to play. It was the authorities in down in that area, in the East Troy area, and inside the arena that is Alpine Valley that proceeded with caution. No, by the way, Ben, did you know that rain did not fall in that area?
Really?
Yeah.
Here in Madison, it was a damn monsoon for a couple hours.
Yeah. Yep. A lot of thunder and lightning, but it never rained. They were expecting up to 4 inches of rain, and it never rained. Even when we ended up leaving and we took the RV through downtown Waukesha, which I still can't believe we did that. When we drove it through downtown Waukesha, we got rain, and it came down heavy in buckets, but it wasn't for a long time. It lasted maybe 15 minutes, and that was about the extent of 15, 20 minutes maybe, and that was the extent of it. The rest of the time it rained, but it wasn't like deluge rain. And some thunder, some lightning, and a very weird sky after the fact. I mean, because it was like 6:30 at night or 6:30, and it was like nighttime. It was dark. And then after the rain went through, it got really weird light again, like a bright white light. And then eventually darkness fell, but it just drizzled after that, and it was pretty much done. And we didn't get another thunderstorm warning until like 2:40 in the morning, I think. So,
they should have just put a roof up there, because I've been told a roof can solve all of your problems if it sometimes rains and sometimes doesn't.
Oh my God, just jump into that puddle. Thank you very much.
Look at Lambeau. They had to go into a rain delay. If Lambeau had a roof, they would have just played soccer without it.
Yeah, there you go. It wasn't a rain delay. It was a lightning delay. In soccer, they play through storms. They do. As long as there's not a lot of lightning, they'll play through that. Soccer will play through rain. They just won't usually play through the storms, but they did that particular night. So anyway, there you have it. Let's do this. We'll step away, take a quick break, come back. A lot more of the Bill Michaels Show coming up right after this.
Want to make your summer even better? Potawatomi Hotel and Casino has 500,000 ways, like winning your share of $500,000 in cash and prizes. To win, play with your club card July 1st through the 28th. Summer is even better at Potawatomi.
A reminder once again, coming up on Sunday, September 4th. We can't do it without you. Need your help. Spread the word if you're a motorcycle rider, or maybe you know somebody who is, or maybe you just want to volunteer for the event. We need volunteers as well. Get a hold of us. But if you want to get registered for the Big Unit Poker Run, the 15th annual coming up on Sunday, September 4th, we can't do it without you. Can't do it without you. Go to fisherhousewi.org. fisherhousewi.org in the events page. Get all signed up. But we can't do it without our great sponsors, which some of them I've already mentioned here today. But also don't forget about our friends over there at Growth Law Firm. Growth Law Firm, one of the top 20 biker law firms in the country, and they're right here in our own backyard. That is Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And GROTH, by the way, GROTH. And if you have been hurt in an accident, they're the people to call. And then our friends over there, Great Lakes Dragaway down in Union Grove. You're talking about a fun place to go. I've had a couple people that have emailed me, and one buddy texted me over the weekend and just said, hey, forgot about it. Great to get back down to Great Lakes Dragaway, and oh, what a great time. It was hot down there over the weekend, but still a lot of fun, a lot of good drag racing down there. And if you want to rent the track, you can do so, whether it's for a couple of hours or an entire day, you and your friends, or maybe a motorcycle club or a car club. Go down there and check that out. Then our friends over there at Buzzard Billy's. That is out in La Crosse. And I get more and more people from the western portion, which is a great listening audience. It's in Eau Claire, it's in La Crosse, it's in Viroqua, it's in Madison, it's in Platteville, all up and down that area that say, hey, we ride motorcycles. We come into town for the hometown rally. We want to be a part of the motorcycle ride. And Buzzard Billy's, a tremendous restaurant, downtown La Crosse. They jumped on board, but they have got great fare, great service. And when you walk in, tell them we sent you. Said, hey, I heard it on the Bill Michaels show out here in La Crosse. Thanks to them for being a big part of it as well. And you better believe that I'm going to be stopping in. I'm going to be heading out to La Crosse coming up in a few weeks, as a matter of fact. And you better believe that I'm going to make my way over to Buzzard Billy's. So going to be there as well. Thanks to them for participating. But if you ride a motorcycle, please join us. Or if you want to volunteer, we need volunteers as well. More so at the beginning of the ride than we do at the end for helping us out with registration and staging and such. And all you got to do is wear an orange vest and wave some flashlight flags and just kind of get people all staged up for a couple of hours and help us out there. But we need some volunteers for certain. So if you can do that, also get a hold of us and let us know. So there you have it. The Green Bay Packers president, Mark Murphy, again, addressing the crowd today for the shareholders meeting. And he said he was hopeful the Packers would host the NFL draft at some point soon. He said it's going to be like in 2025 or 2026, Lambeau Field is going to host the Wisconsin Notre Dame game. So he's talking about that. He also talked about the lack of noon games. The lack of noon games. And said, look, I understand fans love noon games. They do. He's right. Fans love noon games. Okay. However, as he put it, I'm not going to use the exact word, but he said, if we have a lot of noon games, it means we're pretty blanky. Shh is the first syllable in that word. We're pretty blanky, meaning not a good team. But he said that, which got a kind of a laugh from the crowd. But he's right. He's right. So, hey, we're not a good team if we're getting a lot of noon games. So the fact that we are a good team, we have primetime talent, and we're getting a lot of those regional and primetime games, that's because we're a good draw. We're a good team. We have good matchups and such. So that's the reason we have those games. There you have it. This is from Warren, who says, hey, Unit, do you think the Packers make a trade for an offensive lineman? No. I just don't. You're going to find an offensive lineman or two on the market eventually, whether it's during training camp or right after training camp. You'll be able to find somebody, bring them in mainly for depth, and you're going to be fine. Again, we don't know how bad Bakhtiari is or Elton Jenkins and what his progress is and such, but barring the return of Bakhtiari, if you get Elton Jenkins back and he's formidable and he returns to what it is he can bring to the table, then you're really only down a left tackle. Now, it's a big name left tackle, don't get me wrong, but Yosh Nijman filled in admirably last year. Now, I know there's going to be now a book on him and his tendencies and what he does, and teams are going to be trying to figure out Yosh Nijman, but he's also got a year's worth of experience under his belt and did pretty good. You know, Rogers talked about Josh Nijman and the way he performed last year. I'm not overly concerned about this offensive line, and I'm certainly, if I'm Brian Gutekunst, I'm not running out and making a knee-jerk reaction by signing a big name or spending a ton of money or making some kind of a deal that's going to deplete my team. Just relax. While it is a season of only 17 games, you especially at the beginning of the season, even before training camp, you move like an iceberg. You just kind of wait and see where you're at. Same thing with Deshaun Watson. Or not Deshaun Watson, Christian Watson. Christian Watson going on the PUP list. And it's like, you don't go out and find receivers because you're worried. Just wait. Whatever it is, it's minor. It's going to heal up. It's just you bring in more guys to get more of a buckshot approach. You just get more of a look, if you will, at more guys because, some of your players aren't taking up roster spots right now. This is from Pops. Pops says, what do you think of Mason Crosby being on the PUP list? I don't know what that Ben, do we know what that injury is? Has there been any listing as to why Mason Crosby ended up going on the PUP list?
No, I've seen nothing so far.
Okay, I'm not concerned about Mason. There was nothing that's indicating Mason Crosby's got some kind of long-term lingering issue. And the fact that they got jettisoned, their only other kicker, basically said we're pretty much confident in Mason Crosby. And so am I concerned about it? No. Again, you can bring in more players. You can bring in more guys to get a look at and maybe broaden your scope just a bit when it comes to who may end up on the PUP list, or not the PUP list, but on the practice squad, and the depth that you could possibly add to your team. No, I'm not concerned about that. Coming up next, we're going to talk with Zach Heilprin. Coming up next. Why is that important? Because we got all kinds of stuff to discuss when it comes to Zach. We're going to talk about this PUP list situation, get his thoughts on all of this stuff. We'll get into that. Some Brewers talk. Big Ten Media Day coming up. Oh, there's a lot to cover. Stay tuned. Halfway through this program. 2 hours down, 2 hours yet to go. More of the Bill Michaels Show. It's coming up next.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, the Brewers have opened the second half of the season with 3 straight wins. It's after a 10-9 victory yesterday over Colorado. Milwaukee scored 3 runs in the 8th inning, including a 2-run double from Andrew McCutchen to retake the lead. Hunter Renfroe had a big day, hitting a 2-run homer. It was his 3rd straight day leaving the yard. Here's manager Craig Counsell.
The big thing is there's been a men on base. It's 3 homers, it's men on base. So we're talking 7 runs and then those homers. So those are game changers. He did it again today to get us the lead. He got on in the first to keep that inning going. But we had good at-bats all day. You can go up and down, and every guy did his job today offensively.
Josh Hader gave up a run in the 9th, but managed to avoid any further damage and earn the save, his 28th on the year. Milwaukee's lead in the NL Central jumped to 2.5 games on St. Louis to close out their series with the Rockies tonight at American Family Field. First pitch is at 7:10. Meanwhile, in case you missed it over the weekend, Brewers did re-sign pitcher Aaron Ashby to a new contract. Going to keep him with the club through the 2027 season with team options the following 2 years. Ashby going to be on the mound tonight against the Rockies.
Want to save even more at Fleet Farm? Well, now you can with Fleet Rewards. It's free to sign up, and there's no credit card required. Using Fleet Rewards is easy. Earn points every time you shop. Plus, get exclusive member offers, birthday and anniversary perks, free tire rotations, and more. Download the Fleet Farm app or create an account at fleetfarm.com/rewards to start earning points today. Fleet Farm, proudly serving the Midwest since 1955.
Well, the Packers veterans are scheduled to report for training camp tomorrow, with camp getting underway on Wednesday with the first of 12 practices open to the public. Today, the team held its annual shareholders meeting at Lambeau Field. And finally, Big Ten Media Day is going to get going tomorrow in Indianapolis. Quarterback Graham Mertz among the players representing the Badgers down there. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heilprin.
Talking a lot about Packers. Haven't even gotten into the Brewers really too much yet, as the Brewers get 3 games over the weekend, going for the 4-game sweep tonight coming up at American Family Field. Big Ten Media Day on the docket coming up. And this portion of the program brought to you by our friends at J&L Tire Service. Say hi to Lyle and the gang out there in Johnson Creek, just above 94, the Johnson Creek exit. Great people, but they do a ton of philanthropic work in the area. Honest, and they give you great prices. And so whether you're an over-the-road truck driver or you're just a soccer mom in a minivan, doesn't really matter. All you got to do is stop in at J&L Tire, JNL Tire, JNLTire.com. That's JNLTire.com. We bring him in now, the sports director, WOZN, the Zone out in Madison. You can find him on Twitter at Zach Heilprin, giving us a shout. So, Zach, give me first and foremost your thoughts when you heard David Bakhtiari on the PUP list.
Oh boy. I was talking to somebody last month at Packers, the mini camps and everything. We were talking about Bakhtiari, and he was saying, you know what, I'm not going to worry about it until he's not there when training camp opens, or he's not on the field when training camp opens. And I'm like, all right. And so when I saw that the other day, I'm like, all right, probably about time to worry. If you weren't worried already, it's now about time to worry. And that's just a huge concern. I mean, it's been well over 550 days since the surgery. And I know it's not that injury that it is, the stuff that has resulted in his rehab from it that has led to where he is now. But man, if he hasn't been able to get cleared at this point, after an off season of essentially doing nothing, just trying to rest it, that's a huge concern. And you would certainly think it would put potentially, we don't know this, no one's talked to him, but potentially you would think maybe put his career in jeopardy at this point.
So without David Bakhtiari, what is your level of concern? Because I'll be honest, maybe I'm overly optimistic. I'm more concerned about the career of David Bakhtiari, yes. But as far as the play of the offensive line, if Josh Nijman has to do another full season there, the only thing I'm concerned about is the depth. Beyond that, I'm not too worried about it. Are you?
Yeah, no, I mean, that's the thing, right? Like we've seen these stats about what Aaron Rodgers has been without Devontae Adams in the lineup, and how they're 7-0 without him in the lineup these last couple of years. Aaron Rodgers' numbers with David Bakhtiari in the lineup, quite good as well in these last 2 seasons. If it's Josh Nijman that has to play there, fine. Or maybe it's just him until Elton Jenkins is able to get back, and maybe you have somebody else at right tackle and Elton Jenkins is your left tackle. It all depends on when Elton comes back. If Elton Jenkins comes back and is ready to go, mid-season, coming off that ACL that he had last November, you still have to feel pretty good about the offensive line. I think there's more concern depth-wise, as you mentioned, because they don't have anybody behind them right now that you would feel comfortable stepping in at left tackle. But what Josh did last year certainly has to give you a little bit. You have to feel a little bit better about it. But still, that's David Bakhtiari. It's a top 3 tackle in the league at this point, and when healthy has been perhaps the best. So you're losing that. That is obviously what potentially holds you back. I mean, it's a guy that could make your offensive line go from good to potentially great, and not having him does hurt that. But are they manageable? Can they manage without him? Yes, definitely. We saw that last year.
The Christian Watson addition to the PUP list concern you at all?
From what I heard, from what I read, it sounds like it's not something that is going to be long term, and that he'll be back pretty quickly. But yeah, anytime a guy that you potentially could be counting on to play, I don't know what the term meaningful reps means for a guy who still has a lot of work to do to be a pretty good receiver in the league means, but he needs to be on the field as much as possible. He needs the experience. He needs to take all the reps possible with Aaron Rodgers and all that. So we'll see how long he's out, but it doesn't sound like it's going to be something that's going to keep him out. So no, not too worried about that at all.
What about Mason Crosby?
Yeah, right. Coming off that year that he had last year, you want to see him healthy. You want to see him kick the ball in training camp, but you also, how many reps does he need? The bigger question is, what was the surgery, or I should say, what's the issue there? Is it leg related? Is it back related? That to me is like the biggest question. What exactly is the issue there?
I wanted to ask you, but I want to switch gears on you. While the Green Bay Packers, I know, have talked a lot about, the offensive line, and we've concentrated on it. Defensively speaking, though, I'm quietly watching a lot of these analysts over the weekend and coming into today talk a lot about this defense. How good do you think the Packers defense is? And let's just say for a second that the defense is exponentially even better and they're able to garner more turnovers. Do we see any drop-off at all via this team in wins, losses, and now we go from a team that normally has put up a ton of points to a team that still puts up a good number of points, but their defense is just shutting people down?
You look at it on paper, Bill. Can you remember a defense, at least on paper, that has this much talent for the Packers? Because I can't.
No.
Like, it's been a really, really long time. And I know that they played some really good defense, towards the end of 2010, and some of the guys that they had on that unit were some of the best that have played here, whether it's Tremont Williams or Charles Woodson or Clay Matthews in that group. But the talent that they have all over the field, the secondary is absolutely loaded. If everyone stays healthy, you have to feel good about it. I mean, there's a few questionable spots, right? Outside of Rashawn Gary and Preston Smith, what do you have at the edge? Inside linebacker, do you get another really, really good year from Devondre Campbell, or is it just, one and done? What do the rookies look like? There are some questions there, but on paper, it's got a chance to be like a top 5 unit in the league, if not better than that. And so I don't expect a drop off in wins. I think the 12, 13, maybe 14 wins, especially based on the division that they play in, though I think, we'll see improvement to Detroit, and maybe we'll see what happens with Justin Fields, and maybe if Minnesota jumps back up there. But you look at that, they play in a pretty, I wouldn't call it the best division in the league, and certainly helps that you're able to play a bunch of games against those teams. So when I think about it, I think 12, 13, 14 is a possibility. And the defense, if the defense is leading it, that much better, because I think the offense is going to come around at some point with some of the young talent they have at wide receiver, and we know what they have at running back. Offensive line getting healthy with getting Elton Jenkins back, and maybe David Bakhtiari, and then obviously you have the 2-time MVP at quarterback. And I'm not, based on the last 2 years, I don't think you can expect any kind of drop off from them. So if you have that to go along with the dominant defense, it puts you in a really good spot. And yet, Bill, it just doesn't matter unless you do something with that in the playoffs. And they have just been unable to do it once they get there. Defensively, yes, they were fantastic last year, but offensively haven't been able to get it done.
Talking with Zach Heilprin, sports director, WOZN, The Zone out in Madison. Find him on Twitter at Zach Heilprin. Switching gears, I want to go to the Brewers real quick. They get off to what we all wanted to see was a fast start after limping into the All-Star break. 3 straight, going for the 4th win in a row tonight over the Colorado Rockies. And Hunter Renfroe on a 7-game hit streak, during which he's batted .357, 3 home runs, 9 RBIs. He's homered in his last 3 games. Obviously he's not going to keep this pace up, but boy, if he can play even a semblance of that throughout and be healthy, that really pretty much solidifies the outfield. And Christian Yelich obviously playing a little bit better. Maybe it matriculates down to a guy like Colton Wong, but and then signing Ashby to the 5-year deal. Give me your thoughts on the Brewers, the hot start to the second half, and what to look forward to.
I mean, you have to like it, right? The offense has been, I think, at times, maybe that's being kind, questionable at points this year. And to get, to be able to get off to this good start, and the Rockies aren't a very good pitching team whatsoever. And so you would hope that Milwaukee's offense would. But you mentioned the health part of it. If Hunter Renfroe can stay healthy, yes, that's a huge bat in the middle. He's been on the aisle a couple different times with those injuries. So injuries have really hurt this team throughout. But it's still going to come down to, in my opinion, continued greatness from Corbin Burns and Brandon Woodruff. And you saw Willie Peralta. You saw Peralta get his start in rehab yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Freddie Peralta get a start in rehab yesterday. Getting those 3, and then you have some spot starts from Eric Lauer or Ashby or Hauser, whatever it is. And it's going to start with those 3 pitchers. And if they can keep the game low, hopefully you're going to be able to find enough offense. Do they have to go out and add another bat, Bill? I would think so. Still at this point, I don't expect David Stearns to stand pat. I think they're going to still add. So that's the other big question. Where does that come from, and what exactly they want to do before August 1st?
Then we flip the switch and we go over to the Big Ten media. So Big Ten media days are upon us. We saw the SEC go through this last week, the ACC. Big Ten, what are some of the burning questions going into Big Ten Media Day with a rather interesting offseason?
Yeah, I mean, it's what's next, I think, is the burning question. And I don't know necessarily we're going to have an answer from Kevin Warren when he tomorrow morning down in Indianapolis. It's, what are their plans, and what is it waiting for Notre Dame? Is it looking to see what some other conferences do? Is it waiting for the SEC to make the next move? Like, what exactly is their plan? And I don't necessarily think we're getting an answer out of that, but that's a part of it. And I think it's also college football, the playoff expansion. When does that happen? Who all is going to be involved in making those decisions? And how big of an impact does the Big Ten and the SEC have in this in regards to Notre Dame? Can the Big Ten and SEC force Notre Dame's hand into having to join a conference, and that the Big Ten and the SEC are the only teams that are going to get to decide who gets in and who doesn't? That's not, again, probably not questions we're going to get answers to tomorrow, but that is certainly national level, I think, is probably on a lot of people's minds. And in terms of Wisconsin, it's all about Graham Mertz. And Graham Mertz is going to be down there. It's the first time they've had a quarterback down there since Joel Stabe in 2015, which kind of maybe says something about their quarterback play in the season since then. Even Ben Kenny's favorite, Jack Cohn, didn't get to go down to Big Ten Media Days. But can Graham make that step? And the defense, do they have enough to be at the level they were last year? Can they approach last year's level? And we'll hear from Nick Herbig and Keanu Benton down there. I personally think they have a chance to be just as good as they were last year, and that's saying something, because that defense was number one in the country in total defense and had the best rushing defense in school history. So those are some of the things we're going to be probably talking about with when we're down there.
Real quick before I let you go, so regarding the Big Ten and the additions and all the thought, I was watching some stuff regarding Notre Dame over the weekend. At what point do you expect, if at all, is soon, do you have any kind of an idea when Notre Dame might make a decision as to whether or not they are or not going to get into the Big Ten?
Well, I think it's going to be whether they can get the money they're talking about. I've seen that Notre Dame is trying to find a way to get $75 million per year in their media deal. And that would kind of put them right in the same vein of what the Big Ten teams will end up getting after their new media rights deal. And if it is that $75 million, then they have an opportunity to stay independent. If no one's willing to pay that 75, then I think we may see them forced into a conference, or the playoff expands and they have to be in a conference to be in the playoffs. Like, those are the only two ways that you get Notre Dame to be away from their independence, to give up their independence. It is, offering them, them not being able to play on the same level financially, or them not being able to get in the playoffs. And I don't think a decision is going to be made this summer. I think probably next summer is probably when we see maybe what they end up deciding to do.
Real quick, also before I let you go, I've been informed that while we were going to Jimmy Buffett this past weekend, you've actually been arrested at a Buffett concert. I need you to explain, because I heard this and I said, wait, what? The mild-mannered Zach Heilprin suddenly ends up cuffed at a Buffett concert? What the hell did you do?
I was detained, never got arrested, got detained. I down in their little jail that they have at Alpine Valley.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to the bathroom. I may have been going to the bathroom on a fence that 15 or 20 other people were going to the bathroom on. Like, the lines were too long. So I was doing that. The guys told me to stop. I'm like, can't really stop midstream here. He didn't appreciate it. I'm sure I said something smart. And he pulled me away from it with my pants still down. And I fought back a little bit and ended up face down with about three guys on top of me. And yes, got handcuffed and taken down a little jail cell, and then was thrown out and had to go back to the bus. But yeah, it was a fun day. It was not my only Jimmy Buffett experience, but it was certainly the most eventful one.
Oh my goodness, that's fantastic. That's good stuff, man. Zach, always a pleasure. I'm glad the fact that you don't have any kind of a long-standing record because of some drunken, disorderly Jimmy Buffett moment. And please, whatever you do not be in public at the Big Ten Media Day. And we are looking forward to the Thursday edition of Kenny and Heilprin, which would be coming up for Media Day as well.
Yep, we are going to be there live the next 2 days, and then we'll be back on Thursday night to do our other show, but to our normal hours. But yeah, we'll be 2 to 4 tomorrow on the Zone in Madison, and 2 to 4 on Wednesday as well. Can't wait. Looking forward to it, and
awesome.
I know Ben is as well.
Good stuff. We'll talk to you soon. Zach, take care. Okay.
All right, thanks, Bill.
Appreciate it, buddy. There you go, Zach Heilprin, the man walking around with a record. He has his hose out. He had his hose out, and they cuffed him because he could not stop midstream, which if you're a guy and you have ever tried to stop midstream, you know it can't be done. You can't do it. So there you go. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Cunis RV. Oh, my goodness. I will post it coming up on the Facebook fan page here in just a couple of minutes. But if you haven't seen it already, the brand new big unit cruiser, from Cunis is stunningly beautiful. Wisconsin's fastest growing RV dealer. Go to Cunis, Kunes, CunisRV.com. That is CunisRV.com. I saw Scott, who's the GM down in Elkhorn, last week and picked up the new RV, which they treat us great. Now they've got Cunis locations all over the state, and they really, really, really not only value their product, but their service as much as anything. So it's been great to deal with them. It's been such a smooth deal. It's almost obscene. It's just been that good. You keep waiting for something bad to happen and nothing bad happens, because it's just great. They're good people. And if there is anything that goes wrong, they take care of it right away. That is our friends at Cunis. Go to Kunes, CunisRV.com. And you might see the new big unit cruiser at Packers training camp coming up on Wednesday. Still finalizing some details, but go to CunisRV.com. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
I hate being late to the ballpark. You just missed a home run. Gina Della from Pella. I can't believe my seat is next to yours. Peanut? I'm allergic to them. Aw, nuts. I'm always late to things. No one procrastinates like me. The worst is that I missed out on that incredible deal you were offering at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Missed what? It just started. Get beautiful Pella windows and pay no interest for 4 years. That's the one. Imagine the money you'd save by not paying interest for 4 years. Okay. Don't rub it in. Rub what in? The deal just started at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Seriously? Yep. You're just making an exception because you feel bad for me. No, for real. It's hard to believe that a deal this good exists, but it does. You just missed another home run? Oh, this is too important. I'm trying to find the website on my phone. It's PellaWI.com.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Bill Michaels Show, we continue on. And hey, my friend Joe Hennis over at Sloppy Joe's and Smoke on the Water, they got a motorcycle ride coming up. They're going to do a benefit that's going to prelude the Fisher House ride as well. So they do a lot of stuff over there charitable-wise, whether it's at Sloppy Joe's or Smoke on the Water right there on Okauchee Lake. Both places are great establishments. They're doing some things regarding charity, so go to the websites, go to their Facebook pages and check it out. But also they are looking for help, like many places are, and they are willing to pay top dollar just to get you to come in and be a part of their operation. They're just good people, whether it's full-time or part-time. They're looking for good people, and Joe and Ellen are just fun. And if you're looking for a place with great food and a great atmosphere, both places, Sloppy Joe's, a good old-fashioned Wisconsin pub and eatery, and then there's Sloppy Joe's right there. That's lake life, man. You go upstairs, downstairs, right there on Okauchee Lake. Opening up the garage doors, watching the boats go by. Both places have tremendous atmosphere. So stop into either and tell them we said hi. Excuse me. Choked on myself there for a second. Susie says, hey, what's the bad news? Missed the show today, the opening of the show today. Well, obviously, David Bakhtiari starts on the PUP list along with Christian Watson, Mason Crosby as well. So you've got some question marks already going into training camp, which opens up on Wednesday. The good news is Mark Murphy said the financial stability of the Green Bay Packers is good. We all know that. The stock sale, while they didn't sell out the way they had wanted to, it was still a success, and they have over 530,000 stockholders now throughout the world, as Packers fans are everywhere. He did talk about the fans who are talking about how many noon games there are, because everybody loves a noon game, saying that, oh, by the way, you don't have noon games if, you're a really good team. And if they're having more and more noon games, that means they're kind of a blanky team, so to speak, which I can't necessarily give you the word itself because it would be bleeped out at this point. But that being said, the Packers are in a pretty good state. Meanwhile, the Milwaukee Brewers, I wanted to talk a little Brewer baseball. I think we owe it to the Brewers to do so. While the Packers are going to be becoming a dominating topic, I think we owe it to the Brewers to talk some Brewers baseball. Hunter Renfroe, in case you didn't know, his just picked up where he left off prior to the All-Star break. Coming back from injury has been awesome. 7-game hit streak during which he's batting .357. He's 10 for 28. 3 home runs, 9 RBIs. He's homered in the last 3 games to start the second half of the season. And I said this earlier. I said, man, when you look at Hunter Renfroe, if you can get him back and going, which apparently he is, and you figure out, obviously, your center field situation, Tyrone Taylor and the guys that they've run out there, Christian Yelich, who has played better baseball, hit better baseball. So your outfield at least seems to be somewhat settled, might be the best way to put it. I don't know if I want to go that far, but at least seems to be somewhat settled. Ashby signs a 5-year deal. We all know that, he's pretty much performed the way they wanted him to. The positive news was Freddie Peralta has had now a rehab start, which is really good news. Really good news. Because when they start talking about shoulder strains, man, that's never good. And there was kind of an indefinite period of time in which they expected him back. They just said when he gets back, which is never good. But the Brewers stand 2.5 games up right now in the standings. They're 6 games behind the Mets for the second best record in the National League. Meanwhile, the Dodgers sitting at 64 wins, 64-30 right now, where they're only a couple of games, believe it or not, behind the Yankees, who have pretty much run away with everything. And the Yankees are at 66-31, 12.5 games up in their division, while the Dodgers are now 11.5 up, all but have won the division over the San Diego Padres. I think we can pretty much hand it to the Dodgers at this point. But with the Brewers, I tell you this, man, for an offense that has struggled, and going into the All-Star break, they lost 8-5, 2-1, and 9-5. They've come out and won 6-5. And that game the other night on Friday night, when they came back and won that game in extras, that was one of those games. We were sitting here talking about it. I had some friends to tell my buddy Dwayne from Dwayne's Cover It All. As a matter of fact, he and his girlfriend Amy were here, and because they were some of the people that went with us to the Buffett concert on Saturday, and we're sitting at the Tiki Bar and we're watching the game, and just you kept thinking, if they pull this game out, they tied it up, and if they pull this game out, that could be the game that you look at and say, you know what? There's your springboard coming out of the unofficial second half of the season, getting that start, and then propelling them on to a win, and then getting that win over the Rockies in convincing fashion on Saturday. And then yesterday, a back and forth, bang it out affair. Andrew McCutchen coming up clutch in that contest, getting that 10-9 win. So they won 6-5, 9-4, and 10-9. Coming up tonight, 7-10 first pitch to hopefully get the sweep over the Colorado Rockies. Just knowing what kind of a tough schedule you have in the second half versus how easy that schedule is out of that 24, 25 game period with the St. Louis Cardinals, where they've got a schedule against many sub 500 teams. I think it's just huge. It's huge to get off to this kind of a start. It's huge to be able to say, okay, we've got our battery recharged. We've got our mojo back, all that kind of stuff. I think it's big. I just think it's really, really big. So to get Hunter Renfroe going again is huge. Christian Yelich again yesterday, 1 for 4, scored a couple of runs, had a walk as well. He's been productive at the top of the lineup. Willie Adames getting a knock, Rowdy Tellez getting a couple of knocks, like we talked about. McCutchen with a couple of knocks, couple of RBIs, couple of runs scored. Colton Wong now was 1 for 3 with a couple of runs scored yesterday, and also got on base. Had a couple of strikeouts, but again, he's a guy that if you get him going in some way, shape, or form, it's huge. Urias, obviously, you want to get him going. So you get some of these guys just going a little bit. And if you can, as we saw hitting become, or the lack thereof become contagious, maybe this team just says, okay, all we needed to do was kind of reset. We can get back at it. I still think they're going to add another bat. They're still going to get that a shot of adrenaline, albeit now go back to when we had Mike Mitchell on earlier from the Action Network. While the Brewers may not necessarily be big time buyers, because their likelihood, at least statistically, their likelihood of winning a World Series at this point may not be the highest, they're still going to do something to bolster this team. But are they the favorite to win the division? Yes. Are they the favorites to win the National League? No, not by a long shot. So I wonder what the Brewers are going to end up doing. I still think it's going to be a couple of minor deals versus one big splashy deal to add a big bat to that lineup. I hope I'm wrong. I hope they do jump out and grab one guy or even two that are going to be a big ilk to this team. But otherwise, I think it's going to be 2 smaller deals. But I still think they're going to do something to try to bolster this lineup. But good weekend for the Milwaukee Brewers, and hopefully they're able to close it out coming up tonight. Speaking of closing it out, our friends at Burn Pit Barbecue. Go to Burn Pit BBQ. They've got a tremendous business based right here in the state of Wisconsin, Racine, Wisconsin, to be exact. They're veterans. They've been in business a couple of years. And closing out this segment, I'm encouraging you to check them out. Go to burnpitbbq.com. That is burnpitbbq.com for sauces, for rubs, barbecue sauces, rubs, and then there's hot sauces, the hot sauce line they came out with as well, which is fantastic. Check them out. That's burnpitbbq.com, burnpitbbq.com. Look for them all over the state, doing a lot of different things, grilling expos and such, but also look for them online. Go to burnpitbbq.com. More of the Bill Michaels Show next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket, this is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Wisconsin isn't snobby, snooty, or pretentious. It's Midwestern charm at its finest. And that's exactly what Forgotten Fire Winery in Peshtigo is all about. Fun in a bottle without the attitude. You can find their full wine and cider lineup in their tasting room or in liquor and grocery stores throughout the state. The winery is a great place to get away for wine and cider tastings, great live music, and private events all year long. Remember, any time is a great time for Forgotten Fire wines and ciders. Wisconsin wine made from Wisconsin people. Catch all the racing action at Road America. Camping and corporate events available as well. Go to roadamerica.com for all the information. Road America, America's national park of speed.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute.
Want to make your summer even better? Potawatomi Hotel and Casino has 500,000 ways, like winning your share of $500,000 in cash and prizes. Over 100 winners every Thursday. For your chance to win, just play with your club card July 1st through the 28th. So go ahead, book that beach vacation, that up north cottage getaway, or make it a staycation to remember. Your summer just got even better. Only at Potawatomi.
Welcome back. Are you looking for a great getaway? Maybe you want to go up north and enjoy the summer and before football season really cranks in. Or maybe you got some golf you want to play. Maybe you want to take a pontoon ride. You want to do some fishing. You want to take your UTV, ATV. You want to take it on the trails. Maybe you want to explore waterfalls. Yes, all of that is possible at one particular place. That is our friends at the Four Seasons Island Resort up there in the beautiful Muscano Island, right up there in Pembine, Wisconsin. Great place. If you want to check on lodging at the Four Seasons Island Resort, go to thefourseasonswisconsin.com. Get a hold of our girl Barb over there, but you can call up anybody and just tell them, hey, whether it's online or via phone, Bill Michaels 15. Bill Michaels 15. I'm not kidding. Bill Michaels 15 and get yourself an automatic discount. An automatic discount just because you heard it here. And this isn't going on with anybody else. It's just because you heard it here. Call them 715-324-5800, 715-324-5800, whether it's heading over to the Lily's Ice Cream Parlor with the kids or the video arcade, or using the pool, relaxing out back, laying in the sun, doing a little golf like I had mentioned, going down to the Boundary Water Sports Bar and Grill, karaoke, bands, sitting out back, smoking a cigar. There's so much going on up there. And they have so many different things happening as well, special events. Go to thefourseasonswisconsin.com, thefourseasonswisconsin.com. Use the promo code BillMichaels15 or call directly 715-324-5800, 715-324-5800. You will not be disappointed. It is really cool. A very old, stoic, historic place. And mob members years ago used to kind of gather up there secretly and all that kind of stuff. Got a lot of history of the place, ghosts and such as well reported. So kind of cool. Kind of cool. If you want to hit us up, please feel free to go ahead and do so. Let's see here. This is from Ronald, who said Milwaukee's moves are going to be for the long-term viability of the team, not just for this season. Ronald, I would have to say you're right. I would have to say you're right, without a doubt, that David Stearns does not just pick up guys on a short-term contract thinking that they're going to push all the chips to the middle of the table. I would have to say, as we creep up now, what are we, when it comes to the trade deadline, we're now 8 days from the trade deadline, right? Unless things change really quick. And I'm talking about this team just hits out of its damn mind between now and the second. I got to think you're going to get a bat and maybe a bullpen arm, maybe two minor plays, so to speak, for a bat. But I don't see them making a big splash and saying that this is it. I'd like to, don't get me wrong, but I think the team, what we've seen over the season is when they're on, they're on. When they're not, they're not. And I don't think just one big splash is going to put you over the top to say from being a possibly a National League Central winner to the favorite to come out of the National League. Now, that doesn't mean you can't get hot, and it doesn't mean that things can't head in your direction. You get Freddie Peralta back and nobody else gets injured, and Hunter Renfroe stays hot. Christian Yelich continues to add to the remainder of his season. Maybe gets that average up to 270 by the time it's all said and done. Who knows? Something in that realm. Maybe that means he just starts smoking the baseball in the leadoff position, or maybe Colton Wong catches on and starts setting the table. Who knows? Maybe things can matriculate that way. I don't see it necessarily happening. I'm not rooting against it, but I kind of agree with you. I don't think it's going to be a big splash. This is from Adam, who says, so David Bakhtiari going to the PUP list. This just means that he wouldn't be available for training camp, but they can bring him back at any time. How detrimental do people really think this is? It's not that being on the PUP list to start training camp is a bad thing. It's a bad thing for Bakhtiari because he went down on New Year's Eve a year and 7 months ago, almost 8 months ago. I mean, that's a long time. And so what they're saying is he's really still not ready to participate in a training camp. If it's any other player, you say, that it comes up with some kind of an ailment. Okay, no big deal. Take a little extra time off. You're coming into training camp. No sense in just rushing things back just to do it. Oh, I understand that. But for David Bakhtiari, this is a guy that hasn't played. But 27 snaps? Since December 31st, 2020. That's the reason it's bad news. That's the reason it's somewhat detrimental. So I agree with you. It's not normally a big deal, but in this particular case, that's kind of it. It is a big deal. So I think all you hope for now is that he can come back, and that's it, that he can come back. I don't know how else to put it. I don't know how else to put it. This is from, who's this from? This is from Berent, Berrent, Berent. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. Who says, I think Bakhtiari's issues are scar tissue in the knee. If they go back in again, it's even going to set him back further, maybe 6 to 8 weeks. Thoughts? I'm not even guessing. Berent, I appreciate where you're coming from, but I'm not even guessing. Don't know. They have kept their lips shut, haven't talked to us about it. They've just said that they hope that he's ready to go, that they hope he can come back, that, whatever. But they have not said specifically what the problem is. So I'm not doing it. This is Stroh's man, who says, what do you think the cop is going to get for grabbing the jersey of A.J. Dillon and then shoving him? I don't know the entire circumstance. I know what happened. I know that, the kind of look, A.J. Dillon has been not only a face in the Green Bay Packers, but he's been a face in the community. He's been a guy that's been all over the state. He has really, really, really endeared himself to this, not just to the fan base that is the Packers, but really to Wisconsinites in general, from Door County all the way down to running over the Kenosha Kingfish. I mean, he's just done everything. He's been a lot of fun to watch. And I guess on one hand, okay, now bear with me for a minute. On one hand, coming down to the field after earlier in the day, they had a naked streaker run across the field, coming down to the field in a soccer jersey. I don't know, maybe the cop didn't recognize him or something, but after he says I'm A.J. Dillon and they sent me down to do a Lambeau leap and the cop pulled on him, look, maybe the cop was just trying. That's what they're there to do. If the cop wasn't 100% sure and didn't recognize him, then the cop kind of did his job. Now, shoving him after the fact, that's what has people irate, and rightfully so. So what do I think is going to happen? I don't know. Maybe that cop doesn't come back and doesn't, I don't know. Maybe he's let go. Or I don't know. In today's day and age, it is so tough because you have to err on the side of caution. Right? But it's A.J. Dillon, man. You're a cop in Green Bay. Unless you're living under a rock, you kind of know who A.J. Dillon is. Correct me if I'm wrong. Ben, what do you think happens as a cop? I mean, do you the grabbing of the jersey is one thing, because that I understand. The shoving after the fact is probably what's going to cost him his job or his security detail at Lambeau Field. Do you agree?
Yeah, maybe the latter. I feel like nothing really happens. The biggest story to come out of this, though, that you mentioned it for a second, is when the guy was streaking across the field naked, there was cheering in the press box for when he got tackled. So if we want to talk about anything to come out of Saturday night at Lambeau, it's that. I mean, are we really going to allow these people to all be journalists if they're going to start cheering in the press box?
That's a good point. Have you ever been at a game, covering a game, when there has been someone that's run onto the field?
Not in the press box. I have been in the stands, and we cheer.
I am now. This is my opinion of this. Whenever, it doesn't matter where it's at and what they're wearing or not wearing, whenever somebody runs onto the field, if they get hammered by security or a player on the field, I mean, just driven to the ground in a painful way, I am for it. I applaud it. I go, ooh, yes, that type of thing. I somewhat cheer it. Because that is not a team that I'm covering, first and foremost. And secondly, I am all in favor of, once you run onto the field into a player's domain, I hope they beat the hell out of you. And if you go down in ugly fashion, so be it, because you don't have any business being there to begin with. I'm sorry. It's kind of like people that get all up in arms when, a police chase ensues and somebody who stole a car crashes, and they turn around and blame it on the chase. It's like, no, the person that instigated this by stealing a car to begin with is the person that should be handling all the responsibility, period, end of story. Same thing with the person that runs onto the field. So I'm all for it.
Maybe that's why you could spell Bill without a big J. It's disgusting.
I am all for it. I love it. The harder the hit, the better. I mean, you dislocate arms, legs, beat them with their own limbs. I'm all for it. I don't care. So I know that sounds cold, but it's kind of how I feel. Stay tuned. We got more of the Bill Michaels Show next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
This July at Potawatomi, make your summer even better by winning your share of $500,000 in cash and prizes. For your chance to win, just play with your club card July 1st through the 28th. Over 100 winners every Thursday. So go ahead, book that beach vacation, that up-north cottage getaway, or make it a staycation to remember. Your summer just got even better, only at Potawatomi. Learn more at paysbig.com/summer. Must be 21 years old to play.
One of the worst things that you can hear, you have cancer. The worst is when you hear the words, your child has cancer. When a child is diagnosed with cancer, it changes their world. Sometimes they can't even do things that they really love, like playing soccer, riding a bike, going to prom, attending school. Children with cancer spend a lot of time away from others. Time in the hospital, treatments, tired, nauseous, and they feel isolated. That's where Special Spaces Wisconsin steps in. They provide these children with a special space where they can not only sleep, but they can play, they can heal, they can spend time away from the challenges of their illness. It's a customized bedroom designed just for them. How about a princess castle or a pirate ship or a sports-themed bedroom? They transform that child's existing bedroom into a place that only he or she can imagine. A place for them just to be a kid. This effort is done with teams of dedicated volunteers and sponsors, just like our friends from Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin and all the community partners. If you'd like to find out more or to donate, go to specialspaces.org. That is specialspaces.org.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Glad to have you back. The Milwaukee Admirals are going to be out at the Wisconsin State Fair Park coming up here in a couple of weeks with an Admirals Day. So look for them out there promoting not only the new players they have, Roscoe will be on hand, but the 2022-2023 hockey season and postseason is ready to get underway. And if you have not got tickets, bought your tickets yet for the Milwaukee Admirals, go to MilwaukeeAdmirals.com. That's MilwaukeeAdmirals.com. See Admirals hockey up close and personal. Those stars of tomorrow in the NHL are playing right now in the AHL, and that's the Milwaukee Admirals. Go to MilwaukeeAdmirals.com. That is MilwaukeeAdmirals.com. There you go. Welcome back to the program. Real quick, let's go to the phone calls. Talk to Daniel listening to us in Toma. Daniel, what up?
Hey, every year the Brewers start out real strong, and in the end, it seems like they always let off on their bats. You know, a couple years, you can tell they're tired or whatever it is. This year they started all weak, and they're still in first, and now I think they're gonna end up strong. That game yesterday, they got behind 3 times and came back. That's a good sign to me. I'd rather see them strong at the end of the year. Don't you agree? Instead of the beginning of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they've been saving everything for the end of the year. You know, yeah, we've had injuries, but when it comes back, I really do think we can make a better run this year. I feel better this year than I've had in the past because it seems like their bats are increased. Our left fielder yesterday had a triple starting out. That was the first hit, I think. It was the triple. That's a good game, don't you think?
I
Instead
do.
of putting them down, how about encouraging it?
I think triples are some of the most exciting plays in baseball.
Come back. That's small ball yesterday. Had a couple home runs, but they were also playing a lot of small ball. Getting people on base, getting triples, doubles. That guy, the one got 2 doubles yesterday. Yardage got a triple, and we got some home runs. But isn't that a great game? Instead of putting them down, I think that's a good sign.
Completely agree. When you appreciate
when you say they need a bat, where do they need it? They got a great right fielder, left fielder, center, and then second base. Where's the weakness at?
They don't have a player hitting over 275, Daniel. They don't have a player consistently giving you 800 plus OPS. I mean, they've got a lot of power up and down the lineup, but they don't have consistency. You'd love to see a player that can give you maybe a 280 batting average come into the system. However, you just want somebody that's good in certain situations and maybe can accentuate already what they have. Maybe a good bat even coming off the bench, but they don't have consistency. They've got a lot of players that have shown you a lot of things, but they just don't have consistency.
Well, I agree with that, but I'm trying to say is they started out, like you said, not a great batting average. If they increase it now, that batting average is going to go up. But then you'd be, maybe it doesn't look good, but I'm just trying to say is it seems to me they're playing better ball now. And in the past, we've always played good up to the All-Star break, and we basically dumped it after that. I've seen it.
Appreciate the phone call. I got to run here. I think regardless of whether or not you think they need a bat, you can never have too many. That's the other explanation. You can never have too many. You got to continue to try to bolster this team because we saw this team down the stretch falter badly. One more hour yet to go. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Dan Della and the gang at Social House. Yesterday, we went in, Bloody Marys in the morning, had a Bloody Mary, had a beer, and pancakes. Oh, my God, the pancakes were fantastic. Got the big breakfast sandwich. Oh, so good. That new expansion was perfect. There was 9 of us for breakfast yesterday. Love the Social House on Lisbon Road in Menominee Falls. Stop in and tell the whole staff we said hi. Love it over there. The Social House, Haus. Social House. More to come. Bill Michaels Show right after this. Welcome in the Bill Michaels Show this afternoon. We continue on saying hi to Fred listening to us in Eau Claire. Says out driving around making deliveries, enjoying the program on Sports Talk 105.1 WAYY. Thanks to Art listening to us off of the Shawano/Clintonville market as well, and in Menominee Marinette at WMAM Radio, Bay Cities Radio up there. And I want to say hi to Jake as well, and especially Jake and the gang over at Forgotten Fire Winery, but a different Jake chiming in, saying hello as well. So got them all over. Platteville, another good station right down there on the border, heading towards Iowa. Our friend Ernie and the gang in Viroqua. So good stuff to have everybody on board today. And I know I'm forgetting people, and I apologize, but just kind of rolling through a few of them there and saying hello. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to hit us up, that is the phone number to do so. The Green Bay Packers today, they had their shareholders meeting. We're going to hear a little bit from that coming up here in just a little bit. So we're also going to talk with Dave Schrader. He is our guy from WBAY TV coming up here in just a few. So we'll have some of that as well. Stick around as we're going to talk more about some of the PUP list stuff, David Bakhtiari being placed in the PUP list, and the bigger concern there. And again, we kind of broke it down earlier in the program, but, you just hope that Bakhtiari can come back and give you something, something, anything. Monetarily speaking, you're not doing anything with him. You're not going to cut him loose. You're going to hope that he comes in and gives you a break. You're going to hope that he comes in, gives you a break. Big Joe Vike says, Bill Michaels, kick his ass, Seabass. That's what I'd say if anybody ever ran out on the field naked. I tend to agree with that. We were talking about that earlier. They did have somebody that streaked onto the field at the soccer match that took place this past weekend up at Lambeau Field, and fans and media alike were cheering when the guy got taken down. I'm sorry. I know it seems mean, and some of you may think, oh my God, love and peace and all that kind of stuff. Screw that. Somebody runs out on the field, you're in the player's domain, you're holding up the game. Yet it's entertainment. I understand that. People scream and yell, but we've also seen where fans have run onto the field in some way, shape, or form on the playing surface and either protested or tried to assault or hurt, players and athletes. Remember when Steffi Graf was stabbed? No, I'm sorry. You run onto the field to play. I hope they kick your ass. I hope they kick your ass taking you down. I hope they get you into the tunnel where there aren't any video cameras and beat you down. You cannot do that kind of stuff. Not in today's day and age. You just can't. It was back in the day of Morgana the Kissing Bandit, back in the late 60s and 70s, when some girl, ran onto the field and kissed a player. You knew what it was. Everybody kind of giggled and laughed, whatever. But we've seen, who was the Chicago first base coach that got jumped by fans some years back? That got jumped when the father and son jumped onto the field and beat the hell out of him. And like I said, Steffi Graf got stabbed. And we've just seen things happen where you're aghast. And then we all say, oh my God, that can't be allowed. And then time goes by and people tend to forget about that stuff. And here comes a fan running onto the field and they're naked and it's silly and it's funny. And you only enjoy it until the next tragedy happens. So prevent the tragedy from happening. You don't let these idiots do this and think it's no big deal to do. I'm sorry. It won't happen. I will never have sympathy for somebody that gets taken down. There was the kid that ran onto the field. Was it the All-Star game, I think? It was a couple of years ago, ran onto the field, maybe 3-4 years ago, ran onto the field and got taken down. And then his family wanted to sue the police and the authorities for taking him down too hard. And I'm thinking, no. If you snap a knee, snap a leg, whatever going down, so be it. That's you. You were stupid enough to jump into that domain. Sorry, but I have zero sympathy for you. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. You want to find us, go ahead and do so. It's from Michael. Michael says a 100% agree unit. If somebody jumps onto the field of play, comes running into your work, what have you, he says, I do not feel any sympathy for them. I personally would love to take them down. I've been a security officer in a mall now for years, and some of the things that you have to deal with is atrocious. The mall, Paul Blart Mall Cop chiming in.
Yeah, but there's no press box in the mall. You don't have writers on the second level cheering.
Yeah.
That's my whole point. I'm all good with tackling the guy and decking him. It's honestly terrific. When the woman was protesting and the security guard just got her like right as she got on the court in the playoffs, very entertaining. But still, no cheering in the press box. Have we no morals?
We have nothing. We got nothing. We're good with that. I'm fine with it. Take it out. Although, let's see here. If, say, there was spectators cheering in a mall as somebody was doing something they weren't supposed to, and the security guard began to chase them, and they then started to run, just like in a police chase. You've done something wrong. We're not talking about, knocking something over. We're talking about some type of vandalism and or theft, okay? And a security guard is running after you and tackles you to the ground. Are we then cheering?
I think we are, but maybe in that setting, we're not objective journalists.
Yeah, that's true.
What was that person doing wrong? Taking shots outside of Victoria's Secret on a bench?
No. I'm talking about theft or vandalism. No, God, no. If you got some creeper out there, I think more people would be more in favor of the creeper being beat up and going down than somebody that, does something semi-vandalous or just a minor theft, if you will. Because creepers are looked at differently in public society.
Maybe we just need more journalists in malls. Maybe that's the best way to have this public.
Maybe that's what we do. We just go hang out in the mall, just go hang out in the mall.
Listen, I have my beat writer hat on this week.
Yeah.
Going to media days, asking questions and things, wearing credentials.
Okay. So
I'm trying to uphold journalistic integrity here.
Let's just say then you've got somebody at the Big Ten Media Day that gets in there that shouldn't. And just as Paul Chryst goes to the podium, they run up and yell, go Michigan, and they throw pop at him or something and go taking off out of there. Are you then using your journalistic hat to cheer as security guards take him down?
Well, I mean, internally, because it means I don't have to listen to Paul Chryst press conference.
Oh my God. You're so bad.
Kidding.
You're so bad. Holy
I
mackerel.
like Paul Chryst, but I mean, come on. We're going to ask him there are going to be great questions asked, and I'm already accepting we're not really going to get much. But it is what it is. I love Paul Chryst.
Okay. Just check.
But I would cheer internally, not externally.
Oh, my goodness. There you go. The commentary of one Ben Kenny, 877-867-1670. There you have it. This is from Grumpy. Grumpy says, no way anybody runs onto the field. Take him out. Then this one's from Stewart, who says, come on, are you kidding me? Breaking somebody's knees because they're having fun running onto the field, getting their 5 minutes of fame? No. Take them out. Because you never know at what point they get close enough to a player, whether or not they're going to shake their hand, much like the two gentlemen did that ran onto the field and patted Henry Aaron on the back as he was just about to round third and head for home on that historic record-breaking home run, or whether they're going to run onto the field of play or the court or what have you and stab Steffi Graf. You don't know. You have no idea until it happens. And then if something tragic happens, you're going to say, I can't believe they didn't stop him. I go back to watching the guy that jumped out of the stands at one end of the field in Cincinnati and ran the entire length of the field to the other end only to steal the ball out of the hands of Brett Favre. Now, at the time, kind of scary. We laugh about it now because nothing happened. But I was stunned and dumbfounded. They couldn't get any security onto the field to get this guy in the first 50-yard portion of his dash. Part of it was because the guy that he jumped past when he jumped out onto the field was pretty hefty. He wasn't catching him by any stretch of the imagination. But I still thought it was ridiculous that you had a fan run the length of the field and stole the ball from Brett Favre. We laugh about it now, but it could have ended up tragic. This is from Mike, who says, hey, unit, without David Bakhtiari, Yash Nyman plays left tackle. Who is our depth at right tackle? Royce Newman can bounce out. Zach Tom is suited for right guard. Sean Ryan is another guy that they could possibly move up. I don't believe Cole Van Lanen is next in line, but certainly on the depth chart he is. I don't know how much he's progressed in that sense, but those are all possibilities. Those are all possibilities. From the police chief in Green Bay, he said, quote, we are aware of the video showing an interaction between a Green Bay Police Department officer and A.J. Dillon at the soccer match at Lambeau Field. We appreciate Mr. Dillon's perspective and supportive comments. Our professional standards division is reviewing this incident. There you go. They are acknowledging it. Yes. Yes, it happened. Quadzilla, A.J. Dillon said, 2 security officers told me and helped me come down on the field during the 30-minute rain delay so I could do a Lambeau leap, hyping up the crowd. I'm assuming he missed them telling him that I was coming down to do the Lambeau leap. Adrian Amos says, you better than me? It would have been a whole scene out there if I got yanked like that. Devondre Campbell said, I ain't tripping about the grab because I would have immediately got up out of that. But after AJ talked to him and he still shoved him afterwards, I definitely would have went to jail. Kenny Clark put the laughing emojis out there, all regarding the incident. But the Green Bay Police Department, at least acknowledging that they are going to look into this. By the way, Ben, you have actual audio of the press box?
Of the press box cheering. Absolutely. I put my Big J hat on.
So you got audio of the press box cheering as the naked streaker, naked streaker is a double entendre there, as the streaker ran onto the field during the soccer match at Lambeau Field, correct?
Yes, I want the public to make their own judgments on whether it is acceptable.
Okay, go ahead.
70s show.
So that is the media clapping, cheering, and giving you the oh as the streaker was taken out by security. Again, I have no rooting interest. Like, you're not covering that event. You're covering the soccer game. That just happened along the way, and it's not for either team. You're just basically, as now an observer, watching this guy get taken down by security. I'm all for it.
Yeah, but it's like drinking in an elementary school. It's like you may not be there to learn school, but even so, in that setting, you probably shouldn't be drinking.
Okay. So what would you have done? What do you prefer?
Maybe a slight nod, an inaudible cheer would have been acceptable here. Definitely, you can document it and let the people know. Put it in your game story.
I would say
that's it.
Something to the effect of that, oh, he went down or whatever. I don't know if I would stand and cheer, but, and I don't think I would clap. I just don't do that. Not in a press box. I don't clap one way or the other.
So you can spell Bill with a big J.
Yeah, I never have. I don't even know if I would do it as a fan sitting out there. I go to games and it's really weird because when I do things that I go to that I enjoy and all that kind of stuff, people always say to me, are you having fun? And it's not that I'm not having fun. It's just I'm an absorber and an observer. I love absorbing the scene around me. I'm very much a picture descriptive person. So I take it all in. It doesn't mean I don't enjoy it because I do. It's just, I'm just like taking it all in, for lack of a better term. Even like when the Packers won the Super Bowl and I was on the field. And it's not that I'm big J guy. It's just I'm taking it all in because I don't know if I'll ever experience anything like that again. So I just stood and took it in. You know, the only time I can remember really cheering for anything is when I was watching the Badgers take on Kentucky, and I was there with all the fans in the midst of the fans and drinking and imbibing and eating wings and the cheese bread and all that stuff at Stenny's, but I was crammed in there with 500 Badger fans, and we were all going nuts. The energy of that, we were all going nuts. I don't know if I'd be even doing that if I was just sitting in a seat at a game. I don't really cheer that way. I never have. So I don't think I would stand and cheer or even applaud if the streaker was taken out, but I probably would go, yes, within myself or to under my own breath. So long description to basically say nothing. Let's do this. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break. Dave Schroeder's going to join us from WBAY-TV up in Green Bay. He's going to join us. That is coming up next. Stay tuned. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Wabam, W-A-B-A-M. Go to getwabam.com. The race team all over the state of Wisconsin racking up the wins. Go to getwabam, W-A-B-A-M.com, getwabam.com. Great products, whether it's ceramics, car washes, or janitorial stuff for maybe your business, whether it's the scrubby sanitary wipes or disinfectants and such, whatever it is you need, Wabam has it. Go to getwabam.com. That's getwabam.com. More of the Bill Michaels Show next.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Catch all the racing action at Road America. Camping and corporate events available as well. Go to roadamerica.com for all the information. Road America, America's national park of speed.
Oh, I hate being late to the ballpark. You just missed a home run. Gina Della from Pella. I can't believe my seat is next to yours. Peanut? I'm allergic to them. Aw, nuts. You know, I'm always late to things. No one procrastinates like me. The worst is that I missed out on that incredible deal you were offering at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Missed what? It just started. Get beautiful Pella windows and pay no interest for 4 years. That's the one. Imagine the money you'd save by not paying interest for 4 years. Okay. Don't rub it in. Rub what in? The deal just started at Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Seriously? Yep. You're just making an exception because you feel bad for me. No, for real. It's hard to believe that a deal this good exists, but it does. You just missed another home run? Oh, this is too important. I'm trying to find the website on my phone. It's PellaWI.com.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Looking for a great place to go, a little barbecue, some brew, maybe a burger or two. That's our friends at Boondocks. Boondocks Barbecue, Burgers, and Brew. And a great place to go. Really, really good people out there. They just expanded that big patio outside. And on a day like today, man, I'm telling you, it's beautiful outside. County Highway Road K in Oconomowoc, and it is an awesome place. They had some really good music over the weekend. Stop out and see our friends at Boondocks Barbecue, Burgers, and Brews right there on County Road K in Oconomowoc, and tell them we said hi. Good people out there. 877-867-1670. Want to hit us up? Do it. But joining us now on the hotline, our buddy Dave Schrader, WBAY-TV in Green Bay. Dave, how you been, buddy?
Hey, how you been, Bill? I'm good.
I'm doing well. So first, I want to start off with what everybody's talking about, and that is the fact that David Bakhtiari on the PUP list. So give me your thoughts when you heard that.
Not surprised, which is a sad state of affairs, given that it's been a long time since he hurt that knee on New Year's Eve of 2020. It's been a long time. ACLs are all different for different people. They take different amounts of time, but in my time, 10 years covering this team, this is the longest I've seen it take for a guy to get back to being able to practice and play.
The offensive line, obviously, Josh Nijman did a really solid job last season, so I'm not overly concerned. But how much of a concern is this for you, not just for David Bakhtiari, whether or not he's going to play, but whether or not he's capable of coming back, playing effectively, and all of that kind of stuff?
Since we're in sort of uncharted waters in terms of ACL rehab and recovery that I've seen, I am very worried. I haven't seen it take this long, so I wouldn't be surprised if Bakhtiari is not the same player moving forward. Of course, the Packers invested all that money in him in November of 2020, just 1 month before he injured that knee. I think if you ask Brian Gutekunst and gave him some truth serum, he'd tell you that he wishes he hadn't given that deal to David right at that time, but hindsight's 2020, and you wanted to lock up the All-Pro, but man, he would have commanded a lot less money on the open market as a free agent if he had injured his knee right before that. So good for Dave getting paid. Bad for the Packers not getting anything out of all the money they've invested in him for last year. Just a quarter and a half of the season finale against the Lions did he play. And now this year, the big question marks. Of course, PUP doesn't mean he's going to miss regular season time. It just means he's not ready to practice at the start of camp. But given what we have seen, or rather haven't seen from him in the offseason and now to start camp practicing, it is very, 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 very worrisome.
You've got Christian Watson also on the PUP list. So is Mason Crosby. Any concerns there?
I think we'll find out a lot more about those two players when we get to talk to Matt LaFleur and camp starts. Is it just something, hey, they got something for 3 or 4 days, they're going to be out? Or is this another mystery malady that we're going to have to cover breathlessly throughout the entirety of camp? And Christian Watson, he needs to get those reps with Aaron Rodgers, so they need him to practice. They need that.
Also, defensively speaking, now we were talking about this a little bit earlier. There's not a lot of weakness on this defense that you can see via paper at all. Is there an area of depth, though, that concerns you?
Area of depth. I like what they have up front. Dean Lowry, say what you will about the guy. He's done some things in this league. You get Jaron Reed coming in. You got Slayton in his second year. So I think the D-line's deep. The back end, we should see, They got some great corners, but is the depth behind there? And, of course, the inside linebackers. Devondre Campbell, he's so stout. And the rookie, can't wait to see what he has as well. But, injuries are the thing that you would worry about which is why I'm sure you asked the depth question. But if you look at that starting 11, it's just such a blockbuster starting 11.
Mm-hmm.
The three corners you could have on the field at once: Jair, Eric Stokes, Rasul Douglas, not a weak link. In the back end, Adrian Amos doesn't get a lot of love, but he does a lot of great things. Darnell Savage, he can be good at times. Devondre Campbell, Quay Walker, then up front, Kenny Clark and Devontae Wyatt. Man, they shouldn't give up a single point all year, right?
Well, at least, if they do, then get the ball back right away and give it again back to the offense. I don't have a lot. I know I'm sitting here watching today about who's going to have a more successful year, Aaron Rodgers or Davante Adams, and on and on and on. And they're saying that these two, without each other, can't get the job done. I think it's just going to be an offense in which Aaron Rodgers executes the offense. It's going to be more play action. It's going to be more ride and decide. It's going to be more movement. We're going to see motion. I think it's going to be probably the truest form of what we've seen out of Matt LaFleur so far as the head coach and the offensive play caller of this team. Do you?
I think so. And to the question of who's going to have the more successful year, that's kind of a loaded question. Are you talking stats? Are you talking MVP awards? Are you talking all pros? Or are you talking the actual thing that matters, winning games? Because the Packers, for better or worse, they're 7-0 under Matt LaFleur without Davante Adams, as crazy as that is. I'm sure you've spouted that stat. I'm sure the listeners at home have heard that stat. It's the truth, though. And the question is, who's going to have the best year? Well, the Packers could care less about what happens in the calendar year 2022. As long as they get to the playoffs, what matters is January 2023, February 2023. And I think the Packers were able to get back Devondre Campbell. They were able to pick up some draft picks by trading Devontae away, get some cap space to get Rasul back as well. So I think the truth to the answer of your question of who has the better year is answered next year in January and February.
Wanted to go to the offense real quick when you talk about the wide receiving core and scoring. Now, I know we've talked a lot about the absence of Davante Adams, but when we talk about a guy like Christian Watson or Sammy, because we don't talk much about Sammy Watkins, I think it's just a foregone conclusion that he's just trying to kind of get back. But I really believe whether it's the progress of Christian Watson or Romeo Doubs or this guy and Sammy Watkins, I think Sammy Watkins is going to, provided that he doesn't end up injured, I think that this guy is probably going to be one of the surprises of the season. I'm talking about the NFL strictly for the fact that he's got a guy that can get him the ball, throw it to him on a dime, and put it into tight windows, that he might excel dramatically as a wide receiver. Do you agree?
I think if he gets on the same page with Aaron and they click, that could definitely be the case. When we talked to Aaron at minicamp this summer, the thing that he said about Watkins that stood out to me is that you like to have guys signed that are playing for something. This guy is trying to get his career back on track, trying to get a lot more money. A lot of guys are motivated by this, that, or the other. Some are motivated by money. If Watkins produces, he's going to get a lot of money next year. So I think it would behoove him and Aaron to get on the same page. And I think having the same goal of succeeding, even if it's for different outcomes, because he's not going to get a long-term deal here after this year, I wouldn't think, with the cap trouble that the Packers would face again. But he could produce and do some great things. He won a Super Bowl with Patrick Mahomes with the Chiefs, given he had Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce to draw a lot of the attention there. But he had a kind of game-defining catch where he did a double move to burn Richard Sherman for a long gainer. And he said that's the same move Devontae did in that NFC title game that year against the Niners. It worked. And I think Watkins can do some things, but you're looking at him and Cobb as the only guys in this receiving core who have done something in this league in terms of had a stellar season, a standout season. And for both, their best year was 2014. That's now 8 years in the rearview mirror. As crazy as that sounds, they bring some cachet with their name. They haven't done it in a while in terms of approaching 1,000 yards in the season or something like that. Maybe with more opportunities, he can have a resurgence. I don't think you're going to get 1,000 yards out of him, but I think he could definitely surprise a lot of people and help this team win a lot of games and score the points that needed to be scored if the Packers don't have some other receiver emerge. Rodgers also seems high on Allen Lazard. He had 40 catches last year, I believe. I'm not sure what his ceiling is, but we know that Watkins has done something in the past.
Hey,
just the distant past.
Real quick, the one thing that we don't talk nearly enough about, and we probably should because it was a huge Achilles heel, and that was the special teams. How much better do you think they get just by the mere presence schematically of a guy like Bisaccia?
Well, I'm not sure it's just schematics. I think it's the attitude. I'm pretty sure when Bisaccia interviewed with Matt LaFleur, he asked, "Are you going to give me starting caliber players on teams?" And if LaFleur said yes, I'm sure that went a long way towards getting Bisaccia, because Bisaccia is not going to take this job and get your third and fourth string players and try to make ends meet and try to keep your starters healthy. That's just not how it's going to work. Bisaccia is going to get the best players in the best positions and do the best things with them, I think. And I think that, as much as schematics, is going to lead to better results. If you have accountability that, hey, this isn't just a job for the guys trying to make the roster. This is everyone's job, because if we don't get this job done, we're not going to go where we want to go.
The A.J. Dillon thing, I know the police department's acknowledged there was an incident, there was an issue, what have you. How big of a deal is it?
It doesn't look good. If, in fact, what A.J. tweeted is correct, that the security guards invited him down to do that, and then the one police officer, for those that haven't seen the video, A.J. Dillion, during the soccer game Saturday, came down on the field during the weather delay, was going to do a Lambeau Leap to entertain the crowd. Apparently, he tweeted that 2 security guards invited him down to do so, and a police officer came over, grabbed him by the scruff, yanked him around, and then he tried to explain himself to A.J. Dillon, and then he shoved him even more after that. It didn't look good. I don't know why the 2 security guards would invite someone who looks like a civilian down onto the field. I know they know it's A.J. Dillon, but I just don't think it was a very good idea. I understand why the police officer reacted the way he did, but yeah, I think you also need to recognize who A.J. Dillon is if you're going to serve as security detail for any event at Lambeau Field at the same time.
Always good to talk, Dave. I appreciate it, buddy, and we will talk again real soon, okay?
All right. Thanks so much.
There you go. That's our buddy, Dave Schrader. He is WBAY-TV in Green Bay. Get him at Schrader, WBAY, at Schrader, WBAY, and you can follow him over there on Twitter at that handle. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at New Male Medical, treating guys with ED all over the state of Wisconsin and well beyond the borders. And 98% success rate, by the way. 98, all but guaranteeing they can help you out with ED, erectile dysfunction. How about maybe you're putting on some weight, you're feeling sluggish, you're moody, you're up and down, you're like, just not myself. Could be over the age of 30, and you could have low T beginning. You can go in and get your numbers checked. Takes maybe 10, 15 minutes, something like that. Or maybe you're just putting on weight, and the all-in-one weight loss program might be your way to go. Check that out as well. Go to New Male Medical Center, where the medical experts, Dr. Tim and the gang, doctor, not just people sitting there with a clipboard, but Doc Tim can help you out. 4 locations all over the country, by the way, but one phone number. Set it up, 414-455-4451, 414-455-4451, 414-455-4451. We're going to hear from Mark Murphy and some of the things that he had to say today at the shareholders meeting. That is coming up next on the Bill Michaels Show.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
We all love a Wisconsin success story. And if you're in Humburg, Wisconsin, you have to visit one. Maybe you're a steak lover or a connoisseur of ribs or chops, or you just want to visit a generational family farm. Check out my friends at Scholze Family Beef. They have a good old-fashioned farm store right there on site. You can drive up in the car, the truck, or even the UTV and just walk on in. That's the Scholze Family Farm in Humburg, Wisconsin. Or if you want to place an order from home, go to ScholzeFamilyBeef.com. That's SCHOLZE, FamilyBeef.com.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. Glad to have you. Hey, don't forget about our friends at Quick Trip. Still giving away thousands in cash and a lot of great deals going on right now, specifically regarding some Mountain Dew and the pull tabs. You can check out your cap at Mountain Dew bottles, select, and possibly win yourself some nice prizes. Compliments of our friends over there at Quick Trip. They got it all going on. And don't forget, whatever you do at Quick Trip, use your Quick Rewards card and continue to add up the points, get the bonuses, and get yourself some great deals. And who knows, maybe one of those days they surprise you by saying, hey, you've got this coming up for free. Would you like that? Hell yes. Makes it that much better. That's our friends over there at Quick Trip. Tremendous place based right here in the state of Wisconsin. And they are the official fuel provider of the Big Unit Cruiser. Good stuff from our friends over there at Quick Trip. Let's do this. Let's dive in for a couple of minutes. Take a listen to what Mark Murphy had to say in regards to the shareholders meeting today. Take a listen.
Good afternoon. Hope everybody's doing well. I think we were all pleased with the meeting, particularly the crowd. It was 8,624. So kind of a return to some of the numbers we had before. I think last year we were like less than 4. Yeah, it was down. So we'll open up. Rich, why don't you start? I know you have questions.
Well, let's start with the draft. You tiptoed right up to the line, guaranteeing.
No, I did not guarantee it.
I
feel confident that we'll in either 25 or 27.
Have you heard from the NFL on
No. Just that but we are we'll be given very strong consideration. We've been close on other ones too.
How much does that have to do with the progress of the development of Titletown, being across the way?
I think that's instrumental. Yeah, Titletown, and then obviously the Rush Expo would be that would be a big part of our plans for the draft.
You've obviously pursued it in the past. What have league officials told you about what they like about it as a site? What maybe needs to be done?
They really liked the history and tradition. Lambeau Field, Titletown. Number of hotels in Green Bay is not as that's the issue. It's just it's become a big enough event, but I think we've kind of included all the way down to Milwaukee that people would be staying, and actually even looked at cruise ships. That was I don't know if the ice would be thawed by then.
Hey, Mark, has Brian or Matt been extended from their original deals? And if not, are you working on anything like that?
Rob, that's not something that I'd prefer to keep that internal, but obviously you can see from my comments that I feel like they're doing an outstanding job.
Right, but you typically announce those, right?
No, not always. No.
Why wouldn't you, Mark?
Just to respect their privacy.
So when you want the fans to know that they've had additions to their contract?
No, we prefer to keep it internal, Tom.
Tom,
do we know your salary?
You can have it if you want. I mean, that's a pretty standard thing in the NFL. If you extend someone's contract.
No, we haven't always done it. I mean, obviously sometimes. A lot of it is when it comes out, then we'll confirm it.
So we were told that Brian Steele was extended in the last year. Can you confirm that?
Who were you told that by?
A source with knowledge of the operation.
No, I'll just say I'm confident that, well, not only Matt and Brian, but also Russ Ball will continue to be Packers employees for years to come.
Do you expect more noon home games?
I hope not. Yeah, I apologize. I got to, but I have heard. I've heard. Not only have I heard from fans that they want more noon home games, they also want fewer late season home games because they'd rather have all of our home games in the beginning of the year when the weather's better. But obviously, I talked a little bit about it. Like it's good. We want to win those games at the end of the year, and it's better chance when you're at home.
What do your earnings say about the strength of the NFL finances?
Oh, I think it speaks very highly of the league's finances, and Ken, it's really, projecting to the future. I mean, it's strong now, but looking ahead to the obviously the long-term labor deal is key, and then the long-term media agreements are positive too.
TV and the stocks obviously had so much to do with your bottom line, but
Yeah.
with the corporate reserve, how do you think you weathered that better than, as you mentioned, NASDAQ and S&P?
Yeah, I give credit to, not only Jeff Joris, but, Francis Investment Council. Forget the exact term, but we take risks, but, moderate. And, we've, in the bull markets, we don't participate maybe as much, but it protects us a little on the down markets.
Could you talk about the new scoreboards, where that idea came from? Have you seen them used in another location? And who's the manufacturer of the one you're going?
Yeah, well, obviously our current boards are coming up on 10 years. So, they're still good, but you go to some of the newer stadiums, you can see the difference. I don't think we've selected.
It's still a process.
Yeah, but it'll be, the fan experience will improve dramatically.
You hear a lot about those being part of this. I know the stock money has to go to improvements to Lambeau area, so to speak.
Yeah.
Has any consideration been given to improving the audio system here in the media auditorium? So
The media auditorium. We've tried, Aaron.
Fans around in the world who consume Packers.com can hear the questions being asked.
Well, I'm going to. I thought we fixed it. Apparently, we haven't. Well, actually, the audio within the stadium is something that we're monitoring.
Concessions. I know that ticketing was an issue, when we first introduced it, that was a hurdle, but it sounds like that's improved as well with those new machines.
Yeah, well, in terms of the egress or ingress into the stadium, knock on wood, we were really pleased with the pedestals, the way they worked with the soccer friendly. The soccer crowd was probably a little more tech savvy than. Not that our current fans are not tech savvy, but it worked very well. And, we got a lot of staff that are there helping people. So we think it'll help. In terms of the concessions and the concourse, that's something that it's really going to be probably a 4 or 5 year project. And we're up to, 4 or 5 phases. And it's really grab and go stands, getting people in and out more quickly. Last year was really the first time we had a chance to kind of measure the impact, and it was significant. It's transaction time's a lot faster, and we also added quite a few more TVs and monitors so that people can follow the games even when they're out of their seats. And then, and I think they mentioned it in there. Behind section 100 up on it's on a level above the market, there's a Miller Lite end zone bar that I think is climate controlled and will be very popular both in the early season hot games and then later in the year in the cold games.
Do you anticipate having more of those soccer exhibition type events in future off seasons, or is that something you'd be interested in?
Yeah, we would be. We want to have one major, I think I mentioned that, non-Packer event. And you look at the concerts we've had, the college football, the soccer, I think was well received, not only by the community, but talking to the teams and the players. They loved the atmosphere, and then they loved the playing surface too. So it, hopefully word would spread that makes it more likely that we're able to have games such as that in the future.
There you go, Mark Murphy. We'll hear a little bit more when we come back, but stick around. We got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show, another segment yet to go. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Milwaukee Bed Bug Pros. And it's not just bed bugs. It's all different types of creepy crawlies. But if you do have them in your home, or you want to be preventative, or you have properties that you may own as a property owner or a manager, get a hold of our friends at Milwaukee Bed Bug Pros. Don't let the term Milwaukee fool you, though. They go outside of the area. Call Michael and the gang over there at 414-877-5811. 414-877-5811. They're safe. They're effective. Kids, pets, no worries. Thermal and chemical options and their treatments find and kill the bed bugs, the eggs, all of that kind of stuff. And they're discreet. They come in, discreet trucks, discreet uniforms. They're not advertising it. Plus, they have customized solutions for your situation and, more importantly, your budget. So whether it's a residential or a townhome, a multi-unit apartment building, a condo, dorm rooms, hotels, motels, resorts, medical facilities, daycares, think about MilwaukeeBedBugPros.com. That's MilwaukeeBedBugPros.com. Really good stuff. We're going to wrap it up. Coming up next on the Bill Michael Show.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michael Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.